Okay, 10 o'clock. We can call this meeting to order. Willie, would you lead us in prayer?
All right. Our Heavenly Father, we're thankful for this day. We're thankful for the opportunity to come together, dear Lord. We ask that for your wisdom and guidance. We ask for your calming spirit, dear Lord, for the leaders of our country, state, and county. Dear Lord, we ask we be with the employees as we go forward today. Forgive us when we fail thee. Amen.
Mayor Lang, would you lead us in the pledge?
Of course I will. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, 10 o'clock. Representative from Harrison County Economic Development Board regarding the USEDA grant and a letter of support and authorization of match utilizing unencumbered funds for development at the Harrison County Regional Industrial Park. I assume that's Amy. Is that you? Yes. And Mayor.
can pass these out to you and give it to each one of to the members. Anybody else in here need one? If anybody else would like to have a handout, sure. Anybody else? Good to see you. I got one more left. They want to share around? If they can lick your finger, you'll do it. Thank you. I'll just go along with this. If anybody wants to see one, we have a larger one we can put out. Go ahead and lead off.
All right, Commissioners, thank you. Thank you for having us. My name is Amy Haberbosch Wilson, Executive Director of the Harrison County Economic Development Corporation. I was hired, it's been about 3 years now. The corporation was formed about 5 years ago with the intent of promoting jobs, economic development, retaining companies, recruiting Harrison County to bring in new companies, basically just grow economic development. In doing so, we have marketed Harrison County as much as possible over the past couple years. We've seen a huge influx of inquiries. Really, I think when COVID hit around February, remarkable amount of inquiries came in up until about June for a 20,000 square foot building, interest in West Virginia, interest in North Central West Virginia, interest in Harrison County. We had some of our property inventory was able to fit those requests. And when I gave my annual report in July to the board and to the members, I explained to them that I was kind of blown away. I was really surprised with why these companies are choosing West Virginia. Why are they choosing to move now during COVID? A lot of the answers were coming up that we need to be in a rural location. We like what West Virginia has to offer. Didn't want to question it too much more. We just accepted it. So we put together, I think, a little bit more. We pumped up our marketing. We've been working with West Virginia Development Office in promoting the area. Since July, we've had several requests for 50,000 square foot buildings. This request we've not been able to fill. One of these has been a distribution warehouse that we wanted desperately to locate here. Another one came in, additional distribution warehouse. Again, we wanted desperately to locate it here. We do not have the space. We do not have the existing buildings for it. We've shown what we do have. It's not something that we're interested in. We've had 2 requests for 100,000 square foot buildings. We have no intent of building those. We have no intent to develop anything that large. We did, however, go to our back to the drawing table, and we looked at what available land we do have. We looked at the existing parks that we have. Where could we possibly fit additional acreage of what the requests are? We went back to each of the companies that were still interested. We went back to our, I think just the request in general to say on an average, what would be beneficial for us to build? We could do additional 20,000 square foot buildings, but we have some of those. What they're asking for is to be located in a park with amenities, flat land. And we have a few of those possibilities. One being the Harrison Regional Industrial Park. I think the plans to put in the Harvest Care that Mayor Lang is going to talk about, those talks were maybe a year ago, finalized within the past few months, aggressively to move in, fit perfectly with some of the companies that I've been working with. We've lost a couple since then. We have 2 in writing right now documented that they would like to be located here if we had the place. We have funding available through USEDA. So Tracy Rowan is our regional representative through USEDA. I've been working with her since August on a grant application. This grant application will fund the majority of this project that we're looking at for the distribution center and the 50,000 square foot building. So I just want to give you kind of a background of what brought us to today. We're going to have several more. The one that's willing to sign the lease on this building once we start or once we receive funding. The second one would like to have another application put in or work with us to develop additional land. We're looking at 200 jobs just for one of them, 175 jobs for the second one.
Okay. All right. Well, I'd like to go over the outline that I've given everybody. What I want to say first is that I'm here today representing the Harrison County Economic Development Corporation as a board member and as the treasurer.
And I apologize to introduce you. And
That's
Bob
fine.
Steptoe as well is on the Zoom call, additional board member.
And this facility or this property is located outside the city limits of Bridgeport. So that's why I'm here on behalf of the development authority. So just to clarify what Amy said, that this project's been in development for a while, but projects like this have a tendency just to kind of roll around out there until someone really gets serious. I think when Harvest Medical was issued their permit by the state, that's what finally got the fire under them to say, look, we've got to move forward on this. And that just happened recently this past fall when they received their permit. So we have the urgency now. The outline that I'm going to go over here in a few minutes is references flat acres. I just want to be very clear that the park, the size of the property is about 24 acres. The development is about 22 acres. But what we're going to talk about and all the numbers that I present here today are based on about the 15 acres that can be developed, which is flat usable land. And also, I'll make the comment that the engineering firm that's doing a lot of all the design work on this as of yesterday was still working to maximize the development, but also reduce the cost. They think there's ways they can actually get a little more out of this and still reduce the cost of this. They're working real hard after that. So if everybody wants to flip to page 1, where I have Harrison County Regional Industrial Park outline of the project, I'll just go over it real slowly. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. Like I said, the project will yield about 15.2 acres of flat usable land with the access road and all industrial sized utilities. So step number 1 is to allow Harvest Medical, how they want to do this is let Harvest Medical take control of the property, not the deed, control of the property, and spend their own money to do the development of one end of the park. They're able to do that quicker, faster, and to invest their money directly. So when they do this, they will create flat land for themselves and the access road, and a lot of the utilities will come to the property, and that'll create them a 5.75 acre piece of land that they will build their facility on. Once completed, and they've met all the requirements of what the engineering firm says was required of them to do for the amount of money they spend, then the county would deed them the 5.75 acres. When I reference a county, I'm talking about the Harrison County Economic Development Authority, which technically owns the property, would deed to them 5.75 acres. All right. Harvest Medical would also like to sign an option to purchase an additional 3.74 acres once the facility is completed by using the US EDA grant money. I'll get into that in a minute. Currently, the number that they've talked about is $950,000 for the additional acreage. Now, if you go on to number 2, as Amy referenced, she's going to apply to the US EDA for a grant of $3 to $3.5 million. It's been recommended that we could very easily get $3 million, but we could possibly get 3.5. She'll apply for the 3.5, but all of my numbers I'm going to continue to talk about are based on only receiving the $3 million. So once that's done, then the US EDA requires a 20% match to all of their funds, and we'll get into that in a minute. In order to obtain, then to have the matching funds, if you go to step number 3, we would obtain a loan from the state of West Virginia to finance the matching funds. And that would be of $1.4 million. The second spreadsheet spells all this out. And Amy, you've already discussed this with the state.
Correct.
So they're on board with the project to a certain, in the initial discussion. The only thing is the state will only fund money to completed projects. So the normal course of operations for that is to go to a local bank, borrow the money on a construction loan, build the facility. Once it's complete, then the state will step in and take out the bank, and the loan will be through the bank. So what does this, so the flat land of and make it very clear that for the loan, the flat land, which is 8.85 acres, the 3.76 option that you get from Harvest Medical, and the 5 acre with the 50,000 square foot building we want to build, it will be used as collateral for the loan. That will be the collateral for the loan. So if you go to the bottom and look at the summary, what does what I just talked about create? It creates a site for the new facility for Harvest Medical, that once they put their dollars into excavating the dirt and buying the property, they're going to build the building. Number 2, it allows for a 3.74 acre area for Harvest Medical to expand in the future. And they're going to have an option on that for, I think, about a year and a year and a half in order to get started. 2 years, I'm sorry. They're going to have an option on that for 2 years because they want to get their initial facility built and get it up and operating under the guidelines of the permit from the state. And then number 3, it creates 5 acres, 5.09 acres of an industrial site that will have a 50,000 square foot shell building. And let me make clear, the reason for a shell building is every company wants the inside built out a little different. So the whole idea behind this has always been to build the shell building and have the framework there. It's a very common, high ceiling, industrial size building that can be turned into warehousing, manufacturing, or different things. And if Amy, you could speak about the jobs that could come with that 50,000 square foot building.
Sure. The 2 that we have, and I'll just speak mainly to those 2 because those are the 2 documented companies that we have. With their use, like Mayor Lang said, the build out completely different of what they would need. They each need a shell. They each need 50,000 square foot. They could retrofit if we had one. The location is perfect for them because of access. They really do need 50, 79. We've pushed a lot of properties off of 50. 79 is enticing. The distance to 79 is important to them, but the build out is something that they would take care of themselves. So with one company, around 200 jobs that they have on a beneficiary form, we have again documented. The other one around 185 to 200. So with just the 2, we've got 400 jobs. And this, I'll point out, this is completely separate. When I talk about the 50,000 square foot building, it's completely separate from the Harvest Care. There will be additional jobs with Harvest Care, but it's extremely important that we separate the 2, especially with the EDA funds, because we're applying for federal EDA funds. So no part of the federal funds can be used for the medical marijuana facility development. That's the reason why they're
used to build the building.
correct. Right.
Well,
That's why they're used to.
finish the additional land. Harvest Medical does this end, and I'll show you that on the map here in a second.
Which is the reason
I don't
why.
mean to jump ahead.
No, you're fine.
No, ask away. That's fine. So if you want to go to page 2 on the spreadsheet, I think this is how I represented the use of the funds and how the acreage use will be. And we'll reference the map here in a second. So if you talk about the use of funds, the total project is a $5.6 million project. Harvest Medical on their end of the property will spend $1.2 million to create their part of the property that they'll be receiving now, the 5.75 acres. Then the US EDA grant will come in. As you see, we're applying for 3.5 million, but we only have 3 million in these numbers. So that leaves a balance of $1.4 million. Then we will go to a short-term construction loan from a bank for the 1.4, later on to be taken out by the West Virginia, I'm not sure if I got that right, the development office, or which office funds the loans, for the $1.4 million. So make it very clear that the funds borrowed from the state, that's only if the US EDA gets approved. And also, once we get the US EDA approved and get the matching funds in place, once those are placed before we even start construction, I feel that Amy has a lot more dry powder in her arsenal to go out to these companies that have talked to us and say, look, we now have the funding. We now have a set schedule of when this will be constructed and when it will be available. We don't currently have that right now. So if you go down to the bottom part of the page, the total project, again, I said was 15.27 of flat usable land. Harvest Medical will take 5.75 acres, and that's referenced in the green, did I do that right? Harvest Medical is in the, okay, well, I'm sorry, I might have got that wrong. Is it in the blue? It's in the blue. I'm sorry, not the yellow. It's in the blue. Harvest Medical is represented in the blue. I knew I would make a mistake somewhere. Okay. This is from an old map and they recolored it.
The other, yeah.
Yes, from the other day. All right. Harvest Medical, the option they want will be the yellow part in the middle. And then the 50,000 square foot shell building on 5 acres will be located on the red area. So once again, Harvest Medical will construct the blue area and build their first facility there.
At a cost of 1.2 million.
Correct. Well, now that, and Mr. Treecost, that is only for the excavation. Their building costs are beyond this. This is more likely a $4 or $5 million project, maybe 6, by the time they move the excavation, actually build the building, and actually put all the equipment inside the building.
And this includes there's the utilities in the 1.2.
Yes, that gets a lot of the, like, that gets the sewer line into the whole park from down on the road. That gets the main water line into the park. That gets some of the power poles moved around to allow power to the other areas of the park, that initial investment. So then the US EDA steps in and finishes out the yellow and red areas and builds the 50,000 square foot shell building. That makes the other yellow part available to them on the option. And that makes the blue or the red part, the 5 acres with the shell building.
And the $1.4 million that we any for the bank is what develops the yellow
And the red.
and the red.
It's the matching funds for the yellow and the red.
Mayor, what happens if we don't get the EDA loan to pay back the 1.4?
We don't borrow the money. Okay, so that's where this comes in. So that's where the situation is where we're at today. To apply for the grant, we have to show proof of matching funds. If the county will sign a letter saying they will show proof of funds, the county has the money in the bank, we can apply for the US EDA grant. If we receive the grant, before we ever draw on any funds to start in construction, we will go borrow the money. If
From
we're
the
unable to
state.
borrow the money, we won't accept the grant. But we can't apply for the grant
Unless we go.
or borrow the money because we don't have the grant, but we can't apply for the grant unless we have proof of matching funds.
The state EDA will not provide us that loan without the award from the federal government. Federal government will not provide us the funds without match of our funds or support of funds. So it's basically a bridge loan. It's to ask for support to allow us to apply for the grant. If we do not get the grant, then we do not, we return the letter.
But if
Yeah.
we do receive the grant, we have no intentions of using the county's money. That money will then, before we ever draw on the grant, we will go borrow the money by way of a local bank in the state to construct the project.
But if none of that happens, Mayor, then the blue section here would then still be completed, and then we're gonna assign that property over to them upon completion.
Yes, except they would like to have an option on the yellow so they have room to expand. Without the US EDA grant, we'll have to look at some other way to at least get the yellow part excavated or sold to them as raw land and let them spend their own money to excavate. I mean, the big thing in this whole thing is what Amy's proven at the logistics park built on Route 50. There was a piece of land that Mr. Hinkle here identified as about 5 acres of land that was really not usable by the airport in any way, applied for a US EDA grant, did some matching. So so that right now they're sitting on about 3 acres of flat ground, an 18,000 square foot shell building, an access road and utilities, room to build 2 more 18,000 square foot buildings, and they have about $400,000 invested in that. That seems pretty reasonable
Is
to me
that
to have
one on
something
the
like
other
that.
side of 50?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes. It's the new one we just built.
And what's different with EDA funds and the pot that we're pulling from, because we are a coal distressed state, the whole state has that designation. We want to take advantage of that. We're considered a distressed area as well. We have an opportunity zone in our county, but when they invest their funds, they want to see return on the investment. It's not something typical where they'll share the love throughout. You know, this area hasn't had an EDA grant, we'll give them one. This area hasn't really had one, we'll give them one. They do like to go back within an area that they've already invested their funds. When they see a return on their investment, they like to go back and put additional funds into the area. They grow an ecosystem, which is what we're trying to do here. This will be our 3rd EDA grant. And the way Tracy Rowan put it to us, Tracy Rowan is our regional representative out of Philadelphia. The funds are available, then go after them. If you are growing jobs and you are growing your economy and you're making a difference, you absolutely have a return on our funds. We want to put more back into it. Come back to us with another grant. So if I don't want to have these buildings built and not have them filled. That's a concern that I have. But the fact that I have 2 of them right now in writing, documented, each having $8 million investment with almost 200 jobs each, that's proof enough to, like she said, she's never done one larger than 2.9 million and she's willing to go 3.5 for us. That says a lot for this area. We want to immediately go back and lock in another company.
Now, the other 2, is there something in those other 2?
The jobs?
Mhm.
Yes. Yeah, we have jobs tied to each.
Things I think that needs to be pointed out that if we do not get this filed for in the next 2 weeks, we can pretty much consider this money gone.
But it'll go off into another cycle of government funding that'll take maybe up to 9 or 10 months before we'll be able to even apply again.
Tracy had expressed the urgency at the end of last year. Could you get it to me by December 1st of January so I can start a draft review so we can allocate some of these funds in January? If not in January, it's going to kick it into a February. With Milan and everything else going on, our biggest competition is going to be our really surrounding counties. Not to mention the surrounding states that are in the same region going after these funds. Probably by March or April, they're going to be finished. We have a really good shot at it. Not to say that they're allocated for this, but since we've been working with her and she understands this project, we absolutely have to get it to her as soon as possible so she can allocate those funds. So we knew the urgency probably a year ago when the companies are coming in. We're working with them, whether they're coming in through our marketing or they're coming into the Western Development Office. Either way, we've got leads. And as we bring them here and we're showing them and we don't have the sites or the building, we're seeing a lot of them leave. Since then, we've now seen them sign and we're seeing them relocate. We want those here. And we don't have the money right now to build the buildings for them. And we don't have the existing buildings that we can create new parks other than this one. So these are some of the examples where we work with the Development Authority, work with the county. We've pitched a good team over the past 2 years. And you've seen some of the profit of that happen at the airport with some of those companies coming in. The energy companies, the manufacturing, chemical companies, it's made a difference. But they really like to locate in an area where they know you've got a good team, you've got a good working environment, and you have available land. We don't have the land in the buildings right now, so we're losing them.
So basically what you're wanting from us is for lack of a better term, a promise of 1.4, just to show $1.4 million. It won't cost the county
Correct.
1.4.
Absolutely. There's no intentions of costing the county anything. It's just that we need a pledge of the money in order to apply for the grant.
I think it's a pledge, but we have to understand that during this application, that 1.4 million is technically obligated and you can't spend it.
And our intent, we have already met with the state Western Development Office for this amount. They're aware of it, and that's what they are established for, are projects like this with jobs.
How long will it take to find out whether you get the grant?
For
How long
EDA,
Be tied up.
she should be able to tell us within 2 weeks to a month. The actual award will not take place for possibly 30 to 60 days. I mean, it may take a lot
I mean,
longer.
I'm just
to-
trying to figure out how long that 1.4 needs to be.
Right, right.
I don't see it being more than 6 months. By the time you apply, she says we've got it, we actually get the official award, and then we go get the bridge loan from the bank to get started.
And from what I
Construction loan
understand,
from the bank, start work. I don't see why that would take more than 6 months.
and I don't want to speak out of turn, but from what I understand, when the regional office does a draft review and they give a tentative approval that this project meets all requirements, we're not giving you an award letter, we're not going to release anything, but we're letting you know this project is on our list. We can then go to the state with all that information, because then we'll have details of the amount, and that's all the state needs. They need an amount. They need a tentative letter federally that we're going to move forward with this project. At that point, we apply for the state loan, work with the local bank, and then we don't need the county investment.
Any further comments or questions?
Thank you for the update.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a commitment if you are willing to make it. Because this project, if it goes through, we're out, and, I know that, I was working on several projects with the development court to, continue to develop county property, and that we're gonna need more EDA grants, and we should be already be applying for other grants at this point, but so I would move that we take and pledge out of the, which fund is it, Willie? The
I would recommend the financial stabilization fund.
Financial Stabilization Fund, 1.4 million is, so that they can apply for the EDA grant, and if it doesn't come through and they don't get their bridge loan, then the county's released to keep that money. A lot of jobs.
As long as the county is not gonna be on the hook for $1.4 million, because
They won't be.
we've been spending a lot of money, and we need to look at that.
We have a meeting Thursday next week. Can we process a $1.4 million option for 8 days, please?
Absolutely. Thank you. Yes.
I'd like to make just one last comment that, as I noted in my presentation, the engineering firm
All I can
continues.
say is every day, somebody else is applying.
Sorry.
That's all I can say is every day, somebody else is submitting an application. This isn't something that just sits. So that's all I have to say is that we've been pushing people so that we can make sure that we get in and don't miss the deadline, and that's.
We're okay, we're not gonna miss a deadline if we make it, if we look at our numbers, work with our county administrator, see where money is at, look at our budget, and proceed with caution.
Well understood, and we will have everything in place already by that time. So if we receive that letter that day, we can send it in that day. If you have any questions up to that point, please reach out.
But Susan, if you want to move forward now, I'm okay with it. I just have, it's just a lot.
I mean, it sounds wonderful. I'm not gonna sit here and say
it
that.
does.
I mean, and I'm like David, I don't wanna wait. You know, I don't want, the sooner the better. Is that what I'm hearing? Is that,
Absolutely, yes. Our
They
original
wanted it
deadline
back
is the
in the
1st of January.
January, and we've been.
I mean, I just wanna make sure that we're not gonna be on the hook for $1.4 million.
No, ma'am, it will not. It's only
That's my concern.
tying the money up for 6 months or less so that the system can go through. If the grant's not granted, or if the bank does not grant you the bridge loan and the state doesn't grant their money, you're off the hook.
We're done.
You're off the hook. So all you're
But
doing,
you've made the motion. So pledge the 1.4 million.
This is the last thing that's needed for the application. Everything else is done. They've found businesses that are willing to commit. We've worked hard to get the cost down on the building, finished out the design. So this is the last thing for them to send in the application.
One last note, that is, as the engineering firm continues to work on the project, their goal is to reduce the cost. Once we get the bids in, there's a very good chance the cost will be reduced. If the USEDA awards us anything above $3 million towards the $3.5 million, that extra 500,000, all those numbers I just talked about reduces the commitment by the county.
So this is the worst case scenario.
This is a worst case scenario. Our goal, if we're awarded $3.5 million, we'll only need a commitment of $900,000. That's all. I mean, the commitment goes in as $1.4 million, but technically, if we're awarded $3.5 million, it's only $900,000, what we'll go borrow from the bridge loan from the state. So anything we can save in the way of cost, or more money we get from that
And we
business.
have talked to other banks that are already waiting, willing to do this. We've done this project, similar project, throughout the state. We've also done it within the county, smaller scale, of course. So the banks are aware of it. They already work with the state EDA, which is Steve Webb.
Yeah, let me ask one more question, just so I can process this. We're gonna give them the property once they spend the 1.2 million. Is that in writing? Because I don't wanna give away a piece of property that the taxpayers actually bought. And, I mean, we've been tricked before, guys.
I understand. And that'll all be firmly documented.
And
between
what I'm
them.
saying is, would we even negotiate a 50-year lease at $1? Just so we kept control of a taxpayer's purchased piece of property.
That's not
I'm
what the
scared to
code.
death of getting left high and dry because it's happened before close to home.
I
Commissioner,
don't,
true cost on the agenda is to hire an attorney to write the agreement between.
Okay.
Harvest
it'll be
Bank
thoroughly
and-
documented for
Okay.
what they, but once again, the intent is not to deed them the property to do the construction. They will do the construction, and when they've met all the requirements as what the engineering firm says, then on the agreement that will be
Okay.
between you and them, then it'll be deeded to them. If they don't meet the requirements, if they don't get the road put in, they will bring all the utilities in, they don't get their pad completely done and everything they're supposed to
Okay.
do, they
We're
don't
on
get
the
the
same
property.
page, Mayor. We are, man, we are.
And they understand that.
You made that clear.
I've made that very clear to them and they understand that.
And if we could have included more of the park into the EDA grant, we would have, but because of the use, we cannot. So their documented interest for investment of $8 million and an almost 8 on the other project, only half of that can be tied in any way to the federal application.
Okay.
Now, I mean, that can change the federal government, and once they approve medical marijuana, then we can apply for additional funds to do more of the park. But right now, this is the only way that we could work this.
Thank you, guys.
Just a note, Harvest will probably be making between $8 and $9 million investment between dirt, building and equipment. And with what Amy has gone, so this park has the potential to add under $20 million of value to the county, and to make Rocky very happy, this is not in a TIF district.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
So
just-
the tax revenue from this project is not going towards a TIF. So it's a win-win for the county and the school board and the citizens to make this happen. So
I don't know if Bob Steptoe had anything to say. I didn't know he was a.
Mr. Steptoe, can you hear me?
No, you need to let him unmute. Yes, sir. Just a minute.
We're gonna get you unmuted here.
I think I'm unmuted. Members of the commission, just very briefly, what I see is a great opportunity for more jobs, a larger tax base, no risk to the county commission, and an opportunity to get state and federal EDA funding to make it all happen. The only problem I see is that we need to move quickly. because the EDA people tell us that the opportunity to get those funds will be more difficult in 2 or 3 weeks. Thank you very much.
Well, there's a motion on the floor to pledge these funds. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, here you go.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
We will not disappoint.
Thank you.
Keep us informed of how it's progressing.
We'll definitely do that.
You can get me a draft of a letter that you would like,
Yes.
some verbiage, and then I can transfer.
Thank you.
I just wanted to bring up a question to the commission. Would it be possible if we could meet Friday with Rycon, just to get an update on the building across the street? I'm kind of behind the 8 ball here, and I'd like to know what's going on. I'd like to hear it from them.
I know Ceiling Associates will not be available
Right, I understand that.
at
We're
all.
meeting with them next Thursday, right?
Yes, I also have Rycon on there for next Thursday and bond council for next Thursday.
But there's no way we can meet on Friday.
We can meet with if they're available. I mean, I don't know what they'll be able to answer. I don't know what, the questions would be just for Rycon.
Is it gonna, any of the questions gonna involve the architects, would be my question.
I just would like to have an update from them of the progress, what's going on with the construction. When things will take place, and what's going to take place, what we're looking at.
Yeah, I'm not speaking for them, but under their contract, we're supposed to communicate through our architectural engineering firm, if possible, with the general contractor, and not have outside discussions without our engineering firm president involved.
Hey, we've been handicapped for 2 weeks with this, Willie. Trying to get this put together. I'm like, I can meet Friday if you want to. Matter of fact, when are they pouring concrete, Willie?
I don't know. I'd have to look at their schedule. I don't have a copy of their schedule.
I mean,
Why
if
don't you
you,
get a copy of their construction schedule and give it to us?
and then,
So that way we can see exactly what their schedule is for each part of the project. I'm sure they have to have that sitting.
What time do you want that to be, Susan, if we do it?
when we meet around 11. Are you available on Friday?
Yeah, 11.
Okay. You take care of it.
I'll see what their schedule is and availability.
I appreciate that. You do whatever needs to be done. Hopefully they're available. Okay. Are there any persons signed up for public comment, Dylan?
Nope.
Is there anybody on Zoom that wishes to speak publicly? Anybody on Zoom that wants to speak publicly? Going once, going 3 times now. Good. No one for public comment, it appears. Number 2, consent agenda. I have some questions on some requisitions. Are you okay to approve? Do you want the consent agenda read off like we did last week, or are you okay?
I
just-
really don't think there's much on the consent agenda, be the email, and I don't know where you stand with your invoices.
Well, I just have a few questions on a few of these. I did ask this about, I thought we filled out expense reports. The elected officials filled out expense reports when they wanted reimbursed. That's my only question on this one.
I'll ask the circuit clerk's office to do that.
What do you guys think? Or you just want a receipt?
What is it?
It's just a receipt
Did they get-
for reimbursement. And I know that's what we've done in the past, is fill out an expense sheet. And you get reimbursed. Maybe I'm wrong.
Past practice, Willie.
Expense sheet with a receipt attached. is how the commission departments handle that, or should.
I think in the past, I'm gonna say that expense sheets probably only showed up for travel.
Normally so, yes.
And that-
Whatever you guys wanna do.
I'll follow your lead on that. I mean,
We can leave it, just let it fly. Did we buy a
This one
floor?
here. The question is,
I don't have a question on that one. I didn't sign that one. I just was here this morning. I didn't sign it. We bought a floor machine.
Yes.
What is that going to do?
It's enabled us to keep the floor cleaner. It's a pretty daunting task for the janitorial folks with all the dirt. It's just a lot of time to keep changing stuff out. So it's got the ability to clean the floor daily. If you've been to Lowe's and you've seen them ride the machine around that wets the floor, squeegees it up as it does it all at one time to maintain the floors better.
Well, I will say they look better.
Yeah, be
The only
more
thing I'm-
efficient.
I mean,
It has the ability to clean them up, different pads, and to help with the waxing and maintain. A lot more
the
efficient.
scuff marks. If we could.
Yeah.
That's good.
was there something on there I was supposed to see?
Well, I asked for it. I just,
Oh, okay.
but Willie doesn't seem to think there's a problem with that.
I just like to see central.
That's the only question that I had. Like to see.
This one, I'm out on that one.
Oh. And I did call the auditor about this. That's why I'm out on that one. That's,
We'll let them know.
okay. Okay, consent agenda, that's all.
motion approved.
Okay, motion to approve, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Payroll change notices.
Wants to list all these things on the back one.
That's the staffing plan for the E911 center. The 1, 2, 3, and 4 are the last sergeant position, moving Mr. Martin into that, and then the 3 corporal positions, filling those, and then we have the others involve law enforcement or staging. But the first 4 are just finishing the staffing plan that the 911 director and assistant director provided to the commission over the past couple of months.
What's the pleasure on the payroll change notice? Motion to move forward with the payroll changes. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 notes. 2, 3 sheets here. Is there more than one on a sheet?
Now, hold up on those payroll changes.
Yes, Steve Martin, Daniel. Steve Martin. I don't see it, Megan. For Trevor, his resignation. Keesling. Step increase for the retirement resignation for Greg. I found one.
Take care of that. You have all the 911s.
Yes,
There's the other copies.
Thank you.
So we got them all now?
Yeah, sorry, I kept the wrong packet in my file.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any no opposed? Good.
I know it was missing.
Exonerations, corrective tickets, joint property. What's the pleasure? Look at 'em. What's the pleasure on exonerations, corrective tickets, and joint property applications?
Move to approve.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 5, consolidation of land, segregation of land.
We have not.
Number 6, consideration of approval of a project fund requisition for the payment of costs associated with the project to be financed from proceeds of the Series 2019 bonds issued for the Charles Point Economic Opportunity Development District, Series 2015 A and B Development District Number 3, White Oaks Project Number 2, and Series 2008 A Charles Point Project 2, North Band Bay Improvements.
We have a number of those. The first one relates to Charles Point, in the amount of $650,276.13. Of that, just over $552,000 is for Wolf Excavating. And then there's a $11,856.82 for Bear Contracting. And then $86,412.04 for Civil Environmental Consultants, CEC, for that invoice. For the next invoice, it's also Charles Point. The amount is $32,513.81. That's for Genesis Partners Limited Partnership for Project Management Services. The next one's also related to Charles Point Development. It's, for $1,761.58 for UMB Bank and Unicap. The next one is for Charles Point also. $2,337.50 related to Unicap. And the last one is for White Oaks, related to White Oaks, $112.50 related to Unicap. These all require the president's signature.
Move to approve and the president to fix her signature.
Okay, there's been a motion to approve and fix signature. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Consideration of approval of project fund requisitions for the payment of costs associated with the General Services Administration Building project to be financed from proceeds of the Series 2020 bonds issued for the Harrison County Building Commission.
We have none.
Okay. If you would allow me, I would like to rearrange page 2, so maybe it kind of goes together one after the other. I would like to move 10 up top. To review, discuss, consider engagement letter for legal services from Zimmerman Law Office. Any discussions to be? Okay.
Couple items. This letter of engagement was brought in by Mr. Treecost last year. I haven't been able to find in the minutes where previous commission agreed to go out and hire Mr. Zimmerman to seek legal counsel for the commission. If you all would like to go through the minutes yourselves, I think that would be great. I will take any corrections. Also, Mr. Zimmer's letter is December 28th, 2021. I'm not sure what that date is. And this agreement is entered into as the date listed above by and between the Harrison County Commission. Well, if you meant 2020, that engagement is over, and it's up to this commission to go out and seek and discuss why and when we need legal representation. So based on this letter, this was for the previous commission, not this commission, and I still don't know how Mr. Treecost brought this letter to the commission, and I can't find where we agreed to hire Mr. Zimmerman in 2020. So if you guys could help me with those information, I would appreciate it.
I can't speak to 2020 for Mr. Zimmerman. I can speak as a county clerk, and I do think I recall the commission was going to do an advertisement, I believe, and I could be speaking out of turn. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, for an attorney. That's all I can say to it. I truly believe we need somebody that's available to us when we need legal advice, especially that is familiar with local government, county government, on various things.
I don't see any qualifications here for that. And I don't remember staff recommending or going out for publication for this commission. We would like to go out and have staff put it out, look at it, come back with recommendations. I'm more than willing to discuss that, but this does not meet any, for last year, it says it doesn't have an end date. Can't commit one commission for the following year. These hourly rates are based on 2020 costs. So I'm trying to understand why we're even discussing it.
I would at least, I think we need to look into getting an attorney. Or again, I can't speak to that.
Been brought up, Susan, by the last 4 years that I've been a commissioner.
Well, maybe we need to act on it.
Believe me, I have more than once suggested it and could never get it done. If we ask for it to
What do we
go out-
have to do to get it done?
No, what we're gonna do today is, if you don't mind, Madam President, is we're gonna make a motion, I'm gonna make a motion on the floor to go ahead and hire Mr. Zimmerman to represent us as the Harrison County Commission.
Commissioner Treecost, I just don't understand why you want to go against the code. We
David,
did,
no decision has been made. He does not work for us. He doesn't exist here yet until we vote on it. Nothing happens until you vote on it.
how did you bring this in to Willie Parker on the 28th of
Because for
December?
2 years, I've listened to you say we needed an county attorney, which I've agreed on. And I have asked every attorney I know to represent us,
That's not your job.
that, you know, it is my job.
It's
when I'm-
not your
it's
job.
my
It's
job.
this, it's
my
the
job.
commissioner's job.
But you can vote no if you don't want him. That's the privilege you get.
Maybe I
as a-
want him, Patsy, but maybe I want it done correctly.
It is being done correctly. Nothing's happened. Nothing has taken place.
If he was to
Everything
get
can
us
take place
something,
today.
say by
Susan?
Friday, would you be willing to look at it then?
To look at what?
To look at him again and bring it back?
If he wants to present to the commission and ask for the job, fine. This is somebody from this commission went out and personally sought this gentleman out without the blessing of the previous commission.
I don't need your blessing to talk to people, David.
This isn't talking, Patsy. You brought back a letter of
For it to be
engagement.
considered, and I can bring back a letter to be considered
Okay.
about anything going on in the county.
You two go ahead and make your decision,
And you do
then I'll
whatever
do
you
what I have
think
to
you need
do.
to do. That's
And
your
I will.
role now.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to hire Zimmerman Law. Am I stating this correctly, Commissioner?
Tracy,
Trey Zimmerman of Zimmerman Law. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Point of, question, are you hiring him based upon his engagement letter?
yes, Mr. Commissioner.
Okay, so,
With the, we need to have him correct the date.
Sure. I mean, he's valid, we're trying.
it says here that it's only for 2020. So you're hiring him for past, not this year. So if you're not gonna make the correct motion,
Then make the correct motion for me. I'm hiring him today, January 13th, 2021, from this point on until further notice to be our county attorney representing the Harrison County Commission.
so you're gonna commit this commission going forward past a year.
David, we're committing him right now, as long as you want. That we can make it till further notice tomorrow if you want to. We just need an attorney, and it's as simple as that. It's not what you're making it to be. We need an attorney, and we've all agreed on that.
Are you in opposition?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. This is in violation of Open Meetings Act. This was never discussed till today.
Motion carried. You got the nays and yays, right, John?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see, now, 14, I would like to bring up to discuss and consider board appointments made during the January 6, 2021 meeting. And I have somewhere an email from Delegate Clay Riley that I would like to read into the record. I would like to thank the commission for nominating me to serve on the Airport Authority. It is an honor. I believe that the CKB Airport and our aviation industry is one of the most significant economic drivers in our area. The Airport Authority has undertaken important and major initiatives over the past 5 years. The authority and its leadership team have been very successful. I believe I can be more effective supporting the Airport Authority in Harrison County by focusing on my duties at the legislature. Therefore, I must respectfully decline this nomination. I do look forward to working with the authorities on anything they may need in Charleston. Feel free to contact me anytime. Clay Riley.
Madam President,
Yes, sir.
in lieu of that letter, I make a motion to fill that seat with Commissioner Hinkle.
All right, the motion's been made to replace Clay Riley with Commissioner David Hinkle. All those in favor signify, or is there any discussion? Any
I
further
don't have
discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? So moved.
I'd like to further discuss the appointments.
Okay.
I will stay on Regional Workforce Investment Board because I think it's very important. And at some point, another commissioner should step up to that and plans on extending their commission life because Workforce Investment Board is very important to our county. I will serve on the Leo board, but that will be my last year. I will not serve on the Area Council of Aging, Harrison County Juvenile Crime Enforcement Coalition, or the Region 6 Planning or Development Council.
The Emergency Ambulance Authority.
And I will not serve on the Emergency Ambulance Authority.
So you're just on the 3 airport.
Yes, ma'am. And then I would like to discuss the Harrison County Economic Development Corp. I'd like to know why this commission determined that to change out to Mike Jenkins. I think today you've seen what I've been involved with the Harrison County Development Corp for the last 4 years. I have worked hand in hand with the people that are coming for the Harvest Medical and the development of this park, other parks, and I'm trying to understand why the commission decided to change horses in the middle of all these negotiations. And if I could get a reason why they don't feel that I haven't represented the county's interest in the development corp, I would appreciate an answer.
I will speak up. I'm not going to say you have not represented them well. I believe you have. But I think it's time for somebody else to step up. Mike is on the authority as well. So maybe they could work hand in hand. That's my comment.
My comment to that is, I think that you all
You
need
just
to
asked for my comment.
And I'm just saying that him being on the authority, the Harrison County Development Authority is not the recognized authority for development in Harrison County. We gave that up 5 years ago when we developed the development court. The development court is the recognized entity for Harrison County development. The development authority is only there as a shell to own property and not be involved in development. Mr. Parker would like to say if I've said that wrong, but that was the purpose and what was done.
Yeah,
The development work.
Harrison County Economic Development Corporation, once it was formed, the county commission recognized it as and certified it as the lead agency for economic development in the county.
Is that, we ready to move on?
I would also like for you two to let me know where I'm supposed to, the office that I'm elected to, the Development Authority does not go up until August 1st. I need to know whether or not to continue my duties at the Development Corp, or if it's ends as of today, and who will be handling.
Is that
my
term,
duties.
is that by the bylaws? Or is
That's
that-
by the bylaws. I'm elected till August 1st.
I don't see a problem. I personally don't see a problem with you saying till August. That's it.
Then you will inform Mr. Jenkins that he will not take a position with the county till August 1st.
Why don't we table this item, Susan, until, except for the first motion, until we can actually get a legal opinion? And then we'll see. if it can happen immediately or it has to happen only to August. And then as far as then it gives us time then to think about as individuals of the three boards that he has no interest on, which ones he and I would like to do that.
I can go with that.
But can we table that, Willie, and proceed with the other motion that was taken earlier?
You can table, the commission can table any action.
Okay. And proceed still with him fulfilling?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I'd like to do, if you don't mind.
I'm not sure I understand because am I still recognized as a board member until August the 1st or not?
As far as I'm,
Until we get a legal opinion,
yeah, as far as I'm
and
concerned, it
hopefully
did,
we will have that by
Yeah.
the next meeting.
as far as I'm
And
concerned,
so
it did
you,
last
so you
Wednesday.
all will hold me harmless for all the negotiations that I continue to get your legal opinion.
Yes. I mean, I don't, I mean,
Okay, motion to table until further notice.
table the, development court term. Okay, motion to table it, development court time, or part of Mr. Hinkle's questions on the boards and commissions. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed?
Just as a point of clarification, that's tabling and continuing.
It continues on the airport board, but table the,
Yeah, continues on the airport board, but would continue on the development court until the legal opinions
no,
rendered.
I would say no until we, well, yes.
Yeah, I mean.
Okay, that's what I thought I heard. I
We
just-
have a special meeting Friday, find out by Friday. If we can take him off immediately, or if he needs to serve out the time until.
That's your all's decision.
Well, if it's our decision, then the decision was made last Wednesday, and Mike Jenkins is on the economic development.
Okay, number 9.
Just one more
Okay,
thing
number
that
9.
I need to know that I need to tell all the people that I'm working with that they need to deal with Mr. Jenkins going forward.
We don't have that answer.
No, that answer's just got told. I'm out.
The motion.
There is no answer. There is no stand till legal. He just changed it.
No. I'm saying-
No, he's gonna stand, my understanding is we stand until we get the legal opinion.
That's what I have as the voted motion.
Yeah,
So you're in until, and maybe until August, until we find out for sure. Okay, now can we go to number 9? Review, discuss, consider approval on the transfer of leave per policy approved by the Harrison County Commission.
We did call and verify everybody that's on the list for consideration today. That has been verified for those, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 individuals.
Move to approve.
Motion's been made to approve. Any discussion, further any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay. Number 11, review, discuss, consider appointment of a clerk of the County Commission of Harrison County, West Virginia pursuant to the statutes of West Virginia, in particular 3-10-7 and 3-10-1 as amended. The Office of the County Commission has received correspondence from the following individuals interested in the position. Ronald Watson received November 23rd, 2020. Number 2, John Spires received December 29th, 2020. And a note is made, a third individual submitted correspondence on January 5th, 2021, but withdrew on January 7th, 2021. Do I hear a motion for an appointment for the permanent clerk for the next 2 years?
motion to make John Spires permanent county clerk to fulfill the remaining 2 years left on that term.
Is there any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Motion carried. Congratulations, John.
Thank you.
You'll do a great job. Number 12, review, discuss, consider order dismissing cross petitions of fiduciary removing Michael Lloyd Lance and Nicola however, Michelle Gibson as fiduciary for estate and appointing Janet L. Cox as a sole executrix of the estate of Dana Lee Lloyd Lance. Joe had sent something to the office for the clerk to sign, and this is when I was clerk, this is how I know about this. I spoke to the fiduciary commissioner and asked if we probably should have some type of order that the commission signs off on, and they were all in agreement, and that's what this is. So is there a motion to
We
approve
have
the
a
order?
copy of that, Greg?
It should be number 12 in your packet. If not, I have a copy here later before you, yes. We did contact the other council involved, and they concurred with the order. When I say we, Ms. Sell, I had Ms. Sell contact them just to verify that the order was agreed upon.
Is there anybody on Zoom to represent these people in this order?
Not that I'm aware of, but I don't know if they're out there or not.
Is there anybody on Zoom here concerning item 12 on the agenda? Which is the fiduciary order in the estate of Dana Lee Lloyd Lance. So that's your answer.
So we do it for a motion.
I think a motion to, no, unless you want to approve the order.
Motion to approve the order.
Okay. And a fixed signature. Signature, I'm not sure what it's called. Okay, the motion's been made to approve the order and fixed signature. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Opposed?
Motion carries. Number 13, review, discuss, consider hearing dates for the Board of Review and Equalization. My only question is, why are they all different times? Well, not all, but aren't they all at the same time, I guess is what I should say.
We can establish, the times I have for Wednesdays normally are 10:30 or 11:30, depending on the schedule for that meeting.
Oh, okay.
The numbers, others are 10. Monday, I just put 10:30. We can put whatever time you want for Monday the 1st. We also need to add February the 19th for the minerals. The state has scheduled the minerals on Friday, February the 19th at 10 o'clock. And with adding the 19th, I'll need to do a class 2 legal ad, and putting that out there for the meeting dates once they're adopted. If you want to do 10 o'clock on Monday the 1st, that's fine. 9 o'clock, 11 o'clock, whatever.
I'm good with it. That was just my only question.
Okay.
Why the difference in the times?
And on Wednesday at 11:30 and then 10:30.
Oh, what's that?
Yeah, one of our meeting days at 10:30. Why wouldn't you schedule these later on?
That probably should be 11:30. I would suggest 11:30 for that on the 17th. I normally tried to make one of the meeting dates at 11:30. I must have just hit the wrong key. give us time to get the regular business done. So with that changed to 11:30.
Does someone want to make a motion, these dates and times, with
Okay,
the exception of the 17th?
So make motion to accept as stated, except for the correction to move forward, please.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. And I believe I skipped number 8, which was review, discuss, consider matters related to the amended petition of appeal from action of the Harrison County Commission, case number 20P2232. Dismissal order by the Harrison County Commission of General Election Complaints, such matters to include consideration to engage legal counsel for hearings.
We already engaged legal counsel for this. This goes straight to Mr. Zimmerman
Okay.
for his representation of the commission.
Is that the same thing?
And as well as 15.
Is that the same thing for 15? Yeah, and then, and B is already been taken care of in front of the meeting, right?
But does somebody need to look at those agreements?
Well, we already gave them 1.4.
But I mean, as far as going forward with it, once part of this thing, as far as the land, part of
Pass
it.
those to the attorney now.
So are we good with that one, David?
I have no idea. On which one? 15?
On 15,
I
yeah.
don't know. Is he doing A and B?
Well, let's read it. I was just saying that A is already taking care of itself like 8, and then B.
How did A take care of himself?
You just said it. You just said it, Mr. Zimmerman.
No, he said 8. He said 8. He didn't say anything
I said
about
8.
15. Yeah, he didn't mention 15.
Right, and then when he said it about 8, I said, does that fall in place under 15A?
No.
No?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Like I said, I don't even know what his law practice does. I don't even, we hired an attorney that with no description of his practice, of what type of law he practices.
So,
I mean, all attorneys have specialties. I mean, if he's a jack of all trades, then I guess he's a jack of all trades. I've never met one yet, but maybe he is.
okay, what are we doing with 15?
Go ahead, read it and we'll go from there.
Review, discuss, consider engagement of legal services for the following: A, personnel or HR-related matters; B, agreements related to Harvest Medical Care Project.
A motion to move A to Mr. Zimmerman. And I'm not sure about B yet, because I don't know. And motion to move it to him to study the agreement.
No, he has to write the agreement. We have to hire somebody to write an agreement.
Okay. Motion to move it to Mr. Zimmerman to write the agreement.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Parker, do we have any other attorneys
I had
presently employed?
contacted 3 other firms I had for expressions of interest or see if they were interested. Steptoe and Johnson, Robinson McAwee, and Jackson and Kelly. Jeff Kimball with Robinson McAwee. I don't remember the name of Steptoe and Johnson. There was 2. And Luke Thomas with Jackson and Kelly. They called yesterday while I was out. I have not been able to return their calls yet.
Please let them know that their services are no longer needed. And again, do we have any attorneys presently working for the commission?
The only matter that I know that's out there is Flaherty Sensabaugh is finishing up the exchange of property with the county and the city. That's the only outstanding property matter that I can think of off the top of my head.
Is Mr. Zimmerman supposed to take that over or be allowed to continue as is?
Let's clean this up a little bit and make it clear that while Mr. Zimmerman does represent us as a commission, that he is always welcome to reach out to other attorneys for assistance. No different than anybody else in any other county or municipality or even the state. So we're not dumping everything on him. At the same time, he is an attorney that's schooled, that has the schooling. And if he needs Mr. Kimball, who we've used before in the past, then he's welcome to let us know that. I mean, it's not.
Well, who makes that decision?
Well, he'll come back to the administration, let us know, and then Willie will let us know. I mean, I'm not sure why you're,
I'm just trying to decide who our attorney of record is. I mean, we're
Our
hiring this
attorney of
man to represent the
Our
county.
attorney-
Is he our attorney of record now or not?
he is our attorney, but he has full access to the prosecuting attorney's office to work.
Why does he have access? We can't grant that access.
Well, why wouldn't he have access? They work for us too, David.
So why are we hiring somebody?
Because we need somebody, because you told me so. Just like,
Can we,
no, wait a minute,
well, I just,
but let me say this.
I'm not saying we don't need somebody. I'm just
I'm
trying to
simply telling you
understand.
that what's happening here today, and we need not to forget,
Mhm.
our fellow judges, when we needed representation, you walked in here, gave Ron and I a name of attorney in Martinsburg that I still wouldn't recognize in Kroger's, nor would Ron. You did no background, we had no discussion, and yet today I've committed this outlandish act by searching for a year to find somebody that would even agree to work for us because of the way we act. So let's be careful what we're doing here in the sense that I haven't done anything that hasn't been done in past practice. I mean, you walked in here with a guy from Martinsburg that nobody knew, said that she had a family member that knew him somehow, some way, and we all went along with it. And since then, we've been writing checks to Martinsburg, paying him for service for something that probably should have never happened upstairs in the first place, because it all could have been handled if we were all just humble towards one another. So I understand what you're, wait a minute, I'm talking. I understand what you're doing today, but I want to
I don't think
remind
so.
you that you've done it in the past. And at the same time, it's no different. I can't hire an attorney. I simply found somebody that will be willing to work for us. And it was up to the two of you to give a majority vote or not.
okay, can I just say something here? Can we not speak to Mr. Simmerman
Yes.
and see what he is interested in and what are his specialties? And go from there? I mean, I'm pretty sure he is versed in local government. Now, as far as the other, I do not know that.
Right there's what it says he's gonna do, general legal
Okay.
work for the commission. So I'm just trying to.
Well, let's
determine what that
get
is.
him to define general legal work. Stick with the ones that we have now until we hear from him what his general legal work will be. Is that fair enough, guys?
Ma'am, I think it's pretty amazing we'll allow an attorney to come in and determine what work he wants to do for us, and we're willing to pay him. And he gets to make that decision and tell us. That's pretty, normally you hire an attorney.
Well, if we change our mind, we change our mind. If we don't like his answers, then we take it from there. Is that fair enough?
Sure.
Okay. Okay. So as far as number 15, we want to speak to Mr. Zimmerman about that and see if he's willing to take these matters on.
See if he can be here Friday, Madam President.
Okay. Get him here Friday if we can. Does that sound like a plan? Okay.
As long as it's on the agenda.
Now, do we want to move 16 to the end, or do we want to, and do 17 first and do 16 last?
So,
No, it doesn't matter to me.
doesn't matter.
I'm just leaving that open to you guys.
I'm in the dark about both, so it doesn't matter.
Read those.
I'll follow your lead.
I mean,
I don't care.
These were suggested by Mr. Treehouse, so I would think that, I mean, when I look at the agenda, I see no information to go along with, so I'm thinking Mr. Treehouse has some handouts or something so we can follow along.
I do not.
Okay. So let's just start with restructuring the duties of the department heads. Personnel, they're all here.
Would you like to do this in executive session, Mr. Treehouse?
Yeah, there's three of us. And we'll
Please explain why we're going to executive session for this, under what basis?
under personnel. I mean, we've done it again. But you've always done in the past.
Personnel's if we're disciplining, firing somebody. I read this as we're discussing restructuring of duties. I don't understand how this has anything to do with something that has to be done behind closed doors if we're going to restructure the duties of department heads.
Well, let's go ahead and get the prosecuting attorney over here to make a decision, please, because I don't want to.
Sounds good. Might be easier for me if I'd had something to look at, but all I see is a restructuring of department heads.
I would like to respectfully request that anything regarding me, as far as that goes, that I be able to be present and during the meeting.
We've always granted people that right. Well, Mr. Parker's looking for the prosecutor. Commissioner Thomas, I would like to 10-minute break or 5-minute break for
Okay, we'll recess for,
recess.
I'll say 10 minutes.
That would be fine, man.
Okay.
All in favor? I'm sorry about that.
Aye. See you, Joe.
Rocky, I like this.
Not as much as the songs.
I think she wants to get a mask, maybe.
Have a mask on. Right?
Rush, it doesn't rush. My accessory.
Enjoy the style.
Oh, it's a message.
It didn't even register to me. I'm just sitting here.
Something's not right.
What's that? I know, I was with my mind.
That's here.
I understand. Are you ready to go back in?
Yes, ma'am.
Motion to go back into the session?
So moved.
In favor, signify aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. What's the deal? What do you want?
You know, I wanted to talk to David and Susan and Willie about what I think, strong points, weak points, individuals. Should we do an executive session, or do you want to do it out on the floor? And if we do just decide on anything in, an executive session, can we bring that individual in to discuss it in private, or do you want to do that on the floor?
This is for the restructuring of departmental heads.
It's discussion of restructuring of any.
It's not an easy answer, I can tell you that. It's a complicated area in the law when it comes to employment law. Although a cursory reading of 6984, it certainly reads as if you can go straight to executive session. There are many other opinions, ethics opinions, law opinions that may state otherwise. especially when you're speaking about individuals and promotion, demotion, transfer, firing, whatever it may be. And without doing an extensive amount of exhaustive research, given the very narrow part of the law we're in, being employment law, I'm afraid I could lead you guys down the wrong path without giving you that. But I can tell you it's more complicated than just reading 6984 and thinking we can go into executive session when we're speaking about potential individuals. So I know that's not real helpful, but without actually doing a lot of research on it, you guys, I'm not sure that I could give you a correct, strong legal answer. So I don't recommend going into executive session if that's in fact the direction we're going. We're speaking about individuals. Something sticking in the back of my brain legally saying that we can't do that without, having them there, them determining whether, I guess you could ask each one of them individually if they would like to go into executive session when you're speaking about them.
I guess, Madam Prosecutor, where I'm confused is, it says, consider the restructuring of duties of department heads and personnel. And I'm not sure, as I interpret that, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but if we're going to restructure the duties of department heads, we can say that Department A is now going to oversee Department B, and that doesn't have anything to do with the employee, correct?
If we're saying, can we say Department A planning is now going to oversee animal control, because I see both these people sitting here.
Yes, ma'am.
It does if it takes Department A planning and promotes or demotes Ms. Keough in the process, or moves her laterally and some of her pay changes. That's why I said it's a very complicated answer regarding whatever is going to happen.
As it says, matters arising from the employment, retirement, promotion, transfer, demotion, disciplining, resignation, discharge, dismissal, or compensation of a public officer or employee.
That's the plain language of the statute, correct?
Yep.
Yep, and you can't, there's
And an employee
interpretations.
can request an open meeting.
That's right, that's what I said. The last thing I said, you can ask the employee that you're individually considering if they want to do this in an open meeting or executive session. But I don't think, and this is really grasping at some legal things I've read through the years, nothing recent to come in here today, you guys, that you can do it just in executive session without asking the employee individuals first. If it's going to deal with the promotion, transfer, demotion of them. Does that help? Does it just complicate things? And again, employment law is not my specialty. If you want to ask me about murder or arson, I can talk to you about days here, okay? So, but take that for what it's worth.
Yeah, good to do in the open, and at the same time, if anybody wants to, Greg, do you want to go in executive session, register?
No, sir.
I just don't think that we need a full-time maintenance person. I think it can be handled from within, and at the same time, I think there's other openings right now, and you're more than welcome to do one of those. And that's one of the things I wanted to discuss. Do we need a full-time maintenance person at the courthouse? I think we could delegate that to someone else.
Am I done? I'm in the middle of something. I apologize. Okay, that's the only reason I asked. Thank you.
There you go.
So that's that, and that's what I recommended, that we move you somewhere else. I know that there's an opening in the 911 office, and that if he wants to go there.
Excuse me, who's we?
I don't know what you mean.
You said we determine that.
If we determine, you and I and Susan. That's how it works, David. I can't do anything on my own. I know that shocks you that a commissioner can't do things on his own, but I can't.
You said we,
We, as in, we are a we, whether you like it or not,
So,
three of us are a
you're
we.
making a recommendation to the commission to discharge Craig Dale
Not discharged. We're not firing Greg Dale. We're just moving his role.
at the same salary.
No, you can't move somebody at the same salary into a different role. I mean, we have to discuss that, and I guess we'll do it all in the open.
Okay.
Well,
May I speak since this is about me?
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, what has changed since you were all on board before with what I was doing and what a great job I was doing and all the pats on the back that I received, because there wasn't a lot of stuff getting done, exactly what you said. So what is the change of heart to go move Greg Dale to some other department? This looks like it's hostile and personal, to be honest with you, to add to the environment that's been going on. And I think it's an absolute travesty.
And to tell you the truth, Greg, really, it's also gonna help us with payroll. We'll be able to give your role to someone else in a
Thought it wasn't needed, sir.
And, well, it's just needed in a lesser capacity. And I think other people can handle it with whatever else they do.
Thank you.
I've got a question. Mr. Dale was in this position because you brought him to a previous commission on a recommendation that we hired for this job and at the salary that he's being paid at. Is that correct?
Yeah, at the time I agreed, yeah.
And has Mr. Dale been evaluated and had bad evaluations that I'm unaware of?
Willie?
no, Mr. Dale has had excellent evaluations.
And this is a budget saving the request on you, and can you tell us how much we're going to save by moving Mr. Dale to another job?
Well, we have an opening right now in the 911 department.
Again, I
May not fill it at all.
so he either accepts that job or he's unemployed. Is that what you're saying today?
That's Greg's decision, Willie. David, I can't make a decision for Greg Dale.
But you are.
No, I'm not. I'm just simply a commissioner that thinks that his role can be better somewhere else.
Ms. Thomas, are you in support this decision?
I can't say right now that I'm learning about all this right now as well. I'm not saying that some stuff doesn't need to be looked at.
Well, I make a motion that Mr. Dale stays where he's at present salary.
Question.
Motion been made that Mr. Dale stay where he's at with the same salary, right? Is that what? is
Yeah,
that correct?
same position.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
That's right. If I stand silent, that's a yes, correct?
That is correct. That's how the minutes would reflect. If there's no announcement of a vote, the minutes would reflect to whatever the vote is. If there's one in favor, two in favor, one against, silence is concurrence.
May I say something?
Who was that?
Rocky, I think.
That's terrible.
Is that appropriate? I would just like everybody to remember the condition of this courthouse and the time frame it took to get maintenance to do things that you needed previous to Mr. Dell being in his position. And this courthouse, the conditions inside, outside are much, much nicer since Greg has taken over. The conditions of many other things that the county owns are a lot better. The response time and a couple hires that he made have been very good for this building and for our offices, in my opinion. If that means anything to anyone.
Thank you, Ron.
I mean, I cannot disagree wholeheartedly with that. Until we get this machine, the floors, it looked like they were mopping with muddy water,
Exactly,
for a long time.
exactly.
Okay,
What was that?
I said I'm gonna vote, I don't even know which way to vote now. Yes, to keep Mr. Dale where he's at for now.
And then the other thing I had was,
Is that two in favor and one against?
Yes.
and then the other thing I had is I was wanting to see if you guys would consider hiring a civil engineer to work with planning. I think as a benefit, it's always a whole.
I think I've heard you speak of hiring a civil engineer in the past.
We need a engineer, but until the county does building codes and zoning, you have no use for a civil engineer because we cannot tell anybody what to do. All we can do is look at a drawing. We can't tell them what to do with the property. We can't tell them, civil engineer cannot tell them that there's anything wrong because we do not have any authority. So a civil engineer or engineer of that type would serve no purpose because we have no teeth. Presently, anybody can build something. All we can do is look, make sure it's not a flood zone and stamp it. And without, and planning's here, and if I'm wrong, but I think I've spent enough time on it, unless you can act at least building codes. You can hire all the civil engineers you want, they can't determine what's going on, like what we got going on outside of Bridgeport along 79, they're gonna build a community out there with zero, and I mean zero oversight. The plumbing, the water, the electrical, the quality of this construction will have zero oversight because it's outside the city limits and we have none.
What benefits do you see a civil engineer,
You know, I
other
just,
than what he's talking about?
you know, I think it would give us an edge when it comes to the rail trail and infrastructure throughout the county. And, you know, it also help us to have an idea sometimes of what's going on with projects we have throughout the county that they may catch something that I wouldn't, because I'm not educated in that. But, you know, so keep that.
I know, right off the bat, I would assume you're probably looking in excess of $100,000 for this, if it's a full-time position. Unless you go out and just put somebody on retainer or a firm on retainer.
I have between 100 and 125.
That's what I was, it'd be a minimum of
I'm walking out of college being over 90.
be a minimum of 100,000.
Presently, all the PSDs have their own engineering firms. It would just be a duplication. As far as water and sewage goes. hire one of you, want to adopt building codes and bring the county under building codes and zoning.
I'm not for that.
Then I don't know what the, for no more on the rails to trails. I don't know if we could justify $100,000 a year for
Could
that.
we table this until we have a little bit of time to
Absolutely.
look into it? I mean, I would like to think about this and look into it and see if there's any benefit to it. Is that fair enough?
Motion to table.
It's been moved to table. Mr. Treecost request for civil engineer. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
No.
That's all I have. Personnel committee.
Okay. That's it.
What
for
about- We only had restructuring, no restructuring duties for any other department heads.
Guess not this time.
I saw some cost savings and let's move forward.
Okay, number 17. This review, discuss, consider prioritization of projects. A, law enforcement building at 609 West Main Street. B, public safety building at, do we just want to take these one at a
Let's
time?
one at a time,
Okay.
please.
Law enforcement building at 609 West Main Street. Wanting to know what's going on there, or is that what we're here?
I didn't put this list together.
I put the list together on all the projects we had outstanding that I could remember. That's where the list came from. Because I didn't know what the intent was for certain items, but on the law enforcement building, we do, of course, we finalized the purchase, the deeds have been recorded. We're looking at needing some repairs to walls, carpet probably throughout. I know Mr. Dale has looked at other areas. The topper was removed from the air conditioning units. We have a small porch that needs replaced or repaired. I don't know what the intent, what the sheriff's request would be if he's looked through the building and what his desires would be, for renovations, for consideration, not saying that you will or won't do them, but I know we have those items to look at least at that facility.
Susan, I think the original was considered prioritization of the projects. That was originally put on the agenda and asked for by.
So we're trying to put these in order.
I guess I'm gonna ask Patsy how about these projects or what projects he wanted to prioritize.
I think the number one project right now is get the email up. Number two, I definitely want to go ahead and move forward with getting the rubber roof on the old 911 center. I do want the sheriff's department to go ahead and move forward with the remodeling of law enforcement, moving in there on 609. Do we want to give him we know we have $400,000 and we've spoken about putting about $80,000 in it before. Do we want to cap that at 80 and let Robert manage that to the best of his ability? Let's share, I'm sorry, Robert. Sheriff. I think that has to happen. I think we have to find out how much weight the donated building can support, so we can then begin to move the shelves out of the old 911 building that were donated to Susan, get them over there and begin storing records and do as much scanning in the old annex as much as possible to get the weight off of it. Without a doubt, I want the window replaced immediately that Judge Matish says doesn't open, and now it's under the care of Judge Bedell.
What's the status of that?
Well, that was one thing I was going to talk to the commission about today. We have a quote to move a window on the 6th floor that opens to the probation office and move the one from the probation office over. If the commission would want to move forward that, I think that quote was top price of $6,500 to do that,
Motion to move forward with that.
pending approval of the courts. Because they would need to, under their order, they would need to approve that if that would be.
And Willie, while you're doing that, begin the process of getting planning, if these two agree. And of course, only if you agree on the window. Motion to move forward on the window.
What needs to get done? Who's gonna be doing that?
City Window is who we have our quote from.
And then also motion on the floor
Well, let's motion to go move forward with the window,
Yeah,
get that done as soon as
That's
possible.
pending court approval.
Pending court approval.
All right.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No,
and then the other thing I want to motion on the floor is I want to go ahead and make the motion on the floor to move planning off the 6th floor completely. The only spot I can think of in the whole building right now is our conference room. Just move them in our conference room. If we have to put gas, commissions, whatever, there's 4 of them, right? 5?
1, 2,
Which will be very
3,
temporary
4,
until the
5,
building's built.
5 individuals.
Take everything out of that conference room, which is big if you didn't have all the stuff in it. And if you wanted to, well, you could either build a wall, in the section where the chairs are, or just get whatever you want to do. That's the only place I can think of. You guys can think of someplace else to put planning, fine, but if
why are we
not,
moving planning? That would be my first question.
so probation gets the space they need because they have now 16 probation officers.
So we're gonna move out to accommodate them when the state will allow us to move them outside the building?
Where do you want to put them, Ken?
Across the street for all I care.
Well, I do care. And I do want to keep them within the building where it's secure. And the sheriff has his people.
Is that
there.
still an issue of the overcrowdedness there? I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything.
Yeah.
The only item that we had on probation was that office where we're doing the window that we just talked about. That would free up room for at least 2 people, at least, in my opinion. I don't know if they have other areas. Nobody's communicated anything to me about anything outside of that.
It's news to me.
Well, it's not news to me.
So
I know the ultimate plan was,
So which judge has expressed that he needs planning?
Nobody. They just need more room, and that's the only solution I can think of. And since it's the 6th floor, it makes sense.
But can it not wait till the new building is built?
It's up to you.
Just
It's totally up to you. My recommendation is to move planning off the 6th floor, relocate them temporarily until the new building's built, and free up the space for probation.
Why don't we move bookkeeping down to the circuit clerk's break room and give that probation?
I don't even know what the circuit clerk's break room is at.
I think he's
He
talking
means the
county
county
clerk.
clerk. He means the
County
old
clerk, I mean,
bookkeeping
county clerk.
office. That's what he's talking about.
I mean, if we're gonna juggle around,
Our conference room's a lot bigger than that.
well, she's only supposed to have, what, 3 people in the county? And the break room down there is rather large.
I know, I think the court claims that break room at times. For what, I don't know.
That was always the understanding. He just wanted to use it. He knew it.
Do you use it?
I don't know if,
I don't think so. I'm not gonna say no, but
I don't know about 5 people in the conference room. I mean,
can we look at this and bring it back?
I don't know what the space requirements are.
Let's look into this and then come back.
I can tell you 7 foot by 10 foot constitute an office. I have 3 people in a 7 foot by 10 space. You guys can do something about that.
Is there anything I can't do, Rocky? You know, but tell me.
Would you like a conference room?
But thank you.
I mean, the way I look at it, you guys are county employees, those people are state employees. I'm here to represent county employees, not state employees. And I'm trying to understand why we're penalizing county employees for state employees.
I think giving them a big office, big conference room, 5 desks is
Well, let's just put probation in there then.
because there's 5 as opposed to 16 plus others.
I said, let's just put probation in there, leave planning where it is. All it needs is a desk.
Well, but I'd like to see if you guys want to take a look at it and get a plan.
I would like to look at it
Instead
myself.
of go in the conference room,
See
take
if
a
there
look.
is still a problem. That's,
We're not using our conference room. All the stuff in it can be taken out, put somewhere else. And it would be a nice place.
I think we have conferences in there with building and with our employees.
Yeah, we've been utilizing the conference room even with the supplies in there.
But you could utilize this room, Willie, for the exact same thing as we have in the past.
Yeah, we could. I mean, yes.
I mean, there's a negative to everything, but
Yes.
what's the positive? The conference room is nice. It has windows. It has easy access. It's handicap accessible. I mean, we're moving 5 people temporarily to accommodate all of probation. And yes, I understand they're not county employees, but they are people. And Rocky, absolutely. You can figure out something out. I'm with you.
Patsy, I'll be patient for the new building. I don't see the reason in changing all that now.
So
And
Let's
you got an
table-
office,
we
you
table
got an
this,
office
we
here
table-
now,
we
that
can all
you're
figure
talking 2 people.
I
just
just
want
wanna
to
know
go in. I mean, once you cross that bridge, once you move into there and see where you go.
I mean, I just would like to find out if there still is an issue on the, whatever floor probation is on.
So in other
That's the only
words,
thing I would like personally find out. Am
okay,
I allowed to do that?
nope, I think that's a good start for
Okay.
the court system to come and make a request. And then I think after that, then I'd just like to know if we're gonna move, who's making the decision on the design.
Put this on the table too. That's
So
in my
what's
plan.
what's on the table right now?
On the table is moving planning and to a conference room and reallocating that space to probation. Also on the table is the employment of a civil engineer. I think that's it. That according to my notes so far, unless I missed something.
Are we sure we want to table these things or just bring them back up at a later date? I'm willing to make a motion until the court system makes a request. Everything stays as it is. That's my motion.
Okay, I think we've discussed this to no end, so the motion is to, if we don't do anything with this until the court comes to the commission to make a request. Is that
Yes, ma'am.
correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Next.
I guess I'd like to go back to public safety building and roof and where staff stands with roof.
The public safety building, we're working with Fleischer to get a design for the roof complete so we can go out the bid. We're behind schedule on that and have that for bid for this spring. Couple things we were looking at is waiting on the, not as it relates to the roof, but other systems. The HVAC system, I don't see any need to make any changes in that. since law enforcement will be moving out and other areas that we need there. I would proceed with the roof at this point and put our money elsewhere if there's other improvements and use that for storage locations as it relates to county records and such. In my opinion, that'd make an excellent storage facility for county records.
So if I understand it, the roof hasn't been designed yet.
Now they're working on that design.
It hasn't gone out for bid yet.
That's correct.
And you want to
So-
store stuff in that without doing that?
No,
Oh, okay, okay.
I mean, once they're law enforcement, we have to get done down at 609. Law enforcement has to get out. Yeah, and eventually to use it for, right now for county storage if need be. But we were waiting on the roof design because some of the design of the roof, the systems affected the roof design on the HVAC units.
If it's metal, but not if it's rubber. You see what I'm saying? If they put a
Right.
metal roof, they have to relocate utilities, but at the same time, if they don't put a rubber, they don't have to.
If they put it up.
Right, and it's cheaper. There's 30 years.
According to the initial estimates we had, it was cheaper to put a pitched roof on than a
Not if they
flat
have to move
roof.
all the stuff.
We'll ask Thrasher to get us cost estimates on both. I mean, but that was their initial guideline, is that a pitched roof would be substantially cheaper. But we'll double check that.
Like to make a motion. That we need to, Mr. Treecost asked for us to go ahead and put a roof on the building.
Rubber.
Okay. The motion is for Thrasher to continue their work and to only look at a rubber roof and go out for bid. And then when we get a number, we will approve or not approve the cost to replace the roof. Does that sound all right, Patsy?
Yeah, we just gotta get a roof on it. Had a roof for a long time.
I'm not gonna attempt to try to repeat that. Are you okay with me not repeating that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So we're gonna just put out the bid, getting a rubber roof then.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next.
I'll go to 609 West Main Street. Have we gone out and found 2 or 3 architects to come back and look at the building for the commission to determine who's going to fix the building, or we tell them the sheriff is now architect?
Well, we asked that the day we purchased the building, David, that should have already been done, because we agreed that we didn't have to go out to 5G because of the total price. And I assumed that was just gonna happen, so.
I do not think we've hired anybody.
I don't know what we're waiting on.
We have not hired anybody. I did not realize I had the authority to proceed.
I mean, it was discussed.
Plus, you still have to follow the 5G process. It's just a different process if it's less than $250,000.
The only thing I care about, let me repeat myself, because nobody seems to remember us saying this, we agreed that it needed to be a Harrison County architect, remember? And that's all we agreed on, and we did agree on that. But if we don't want to change that now, and put it out to everybody, it's up to sheriff. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, I have no preference
I'm
either. Thanks
more
for
for-
asking.
You know, I'm more root for Harrison County, but if you guys come with somebody that's not Harrison County, we'll vote on it.
We can go out to 3 Harrison County firms and bring back a recommendation. We'll make those calls.
My motion is to have Mr. Parker have recommendation for Friday meeting.
So moved. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. That one down.
County storage building. Again, recommendation for an engineering firm to determine
Wait,
load capacity of the building and any other structural issues. Recommendations due by Friday.
What David said. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
now listen, I know how do I word this? The building needs some love. Really, you're gonna have to get a coat of paint on it. We can't have a piece of property look like that. Something has to happen. I know it sold us as turnkey, but it's not.
The replacement grant, courthouse facilities improvement authority. Anybody have any information on this?
We have a grant in place. I think it's $56,000 if I remember correctly. We have to develop, I think we had 35, 37 windows, or half the window that needed replaced at least. It's a matter of getting the specs finalized. They do require compliance with whatever the 5G step is. Again, this will be small enough that we would not need to go expression of interest, so to speak. You can make based on reputation phone calls and coordinate with an engineering firm and then get a contractor in place to get it accomplished.
Window replacement, is this for half windows, full windows?
It's half windows. It's currently got the air conditioner units in, but we no longer need the air conditioners. But you can't take them out because it just leaves a hole. So it's the bottom half of the windows that will be replaced to match the rest of the windows.
But you already got the grant.
Yes.
Yes, grant's
I
already
thought we already
placed.
discussed this too, because I asked the question, well, did anybody ever know where the other half of the window went in the first place? And everyone's like, oh my God, we never thought of that, but
Yeah.
nobody
So-
knows where they went, so
No,
this was already supposed to be done.
So
Well, but the grant wasn't until January.
it just took
1, so
effect
we-
13 days ago.
And it's for this
So it's a work
calendar
in
year.
progress.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
again, motion for somebody, recommendation to break the specs, to have the windows manufactured. Brought back to the commission on Friday. So that we can begin window replacement this spring.
Again, we don't need the specs. Every window that has an air conditioner sticking
Because
out.
that
of it, it's gotta
that
go.
project is in place, am I correct,
Yeah.
Gina?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, there's no. it's
So
just-
really, nothing needs to be done.
Really, I just need to,
Somebody has to spec out what goes in there for a manufacturer to
But
make
you,
it.
you'll take
well,
care
we
of.
have that from City Window.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you already have it. You had to have that in order to get.
I
the
had to have
grant.
that to put the grant together, the
Okay.
application.
Mr. Henderson came and we went out on the roof and looked at the windows, measured them to see what all it was gonna take. And that quote is a worst case scenario. It could come in a little cheaper possibly.
Yeah, just get that done.
So then I make a motion, we authorize to begin the building to order.
We need to, that has to go out for bids. We have to put whatever that specification is
Right.
out for bids to,
Yes,
There's
because
a
I have,
process that they have to get
Yes.
through because of the grant.
yes,
yes.
So can we begin that process?
we can.
Yeah, we just, last week got the contract, the executed contract, so we couldn't proceed with anything until then. Of course, we're only into the second week of the year anyway, so we have until the end of the year to get it finished.
We'll just receive the documents back that authorized, that approved the project.
Okay, rail trail projects.
I have no idea on those.
Do we need, do we need to know anything on these? This is just tells us what's going on?
That's, yeah, the repair of the landslide on the new northern trail, that grant's been approved and the match has been paid to the state. Taggart Valley Soil Conservation District, working from Northview to Spelter, that has been approved. We need a survey and related items if we're gonna lease property in the Glen Falls area as it relates to the coke ovens. That is not in progress. We've talked to this week, the appraiser to proceed with an appraisal for the Spelter to Haywood. He finally got back with us this week. And then there's other improvements if need be. So on the northern trail, the one item that we do not have in progress is a survey and any related matters to if we end up leasing property as it relates to the coke ovens and development along there. So if the commission's interested in possibly entering into lease, the first step would be getting a survey to know what we're looking at, what area. We need approval to engage the services of a surveyor.
Move to approve for surveyor and to discuss lease of properties in Falls area for coke ovens.
Motion's been made to move forward. The survey, Glen Falls area. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's carried.
On the side,
I'd like to inquire about the landslide repair at Northview. The grant's been approved and the match paid. Is that something that's being done or is already done?
it's something that the state will handle and put out for bid. They changed their process last year. Is they handle all bidding, they handle everything associated with the grant. We send them our grant match and then they proceed. They've approved this grant and now it's, I don't know if they put it out for bid yet or not.
They already did. It has been out, it was bid, and it should be done this spring, along with Behind Custer addition for a little over a mile. That also will be done this spring.
That's the first item under the Southern Trail. Should be Custer Edition, not Cluster Edition. Sorry.
Things
Appraisal,
like that.
appraisal for
I know
possible
about
property purchases, Spelter to Haywood.
The appraiser from Joe
Jay Goldman.
Jay Goldman was in this week or next week to do that, and we'll be bringing that report back to us.
He promised me he'd have it in my hands next week.
We've been working, trying to get him for over a year.
It's close to 2 years.
Is this property purchase gonna be through grants or do we have money budgeted for this?
We do not know the answer to that yet. We do not have a grant pending that I'm aware of.
We do have money set aside from a grant that we were going to use for Wolf Summit to Adamston. They're still hanging on to that for
Okay.
us. So if we choose to use that grant money to purchase that, then we can.
Is there a time limit to that whole?
There was, but we extended it. I sent a letter in and they extended it for us.
Can I make a motion that that's what that money be used for, to purchase property from Spelter to Haywood? That's my motion.
Motion's been made to use grant money that's out there to purchase property from Spelter to Haywood. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
We've talked about the Custer Addition Tulick area. That grant has also been approved and the match has been paid to the state. And then there's 5 bridge crossings that need decking and improvements to them. Ms. Schaefer can speak to that maybe in more detail.
Now, the Custer Tulick that's been approved in the match, what's the status of, is that another thing the state will take care of?
Yes,
Okay,
Yeah, that's a done deal.
it's just a matter of their time.
but it's not done.
It's not done.
We've done
It'll be
everything we
this
can do.
spring.
It's up to the state
Okay.
and their timing now.
I mean, is it possible at some point to check with them and see if they have any idea when they're gonna move on any of these?
It'll be spring.
Okay, you probably already said that, and I missed it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
They put both of those out to bid in December. And they already have someone and they said it'll be done in spring.
Bridge crossings that need decking and improvements.
Is there money there for that anywhere, or you've applied? Is that what you said?
I may be able to get Tiger Valley Conservation to do that, probably at a cheaper cost, or we can have Greg and his crew do it. I mean, they've been like that for a very long time. I don't see a great big hurry for it.
We can have Taggart Valley look and at least get us a cost estimate and compare to whether we can do that in-house. We can do that.
Add that to your list.
On page 12.
I would like to get permission to purchase railroad maps from B&O Museum. They have all the original railroad maps. They are a huge help.
That's a few $100s.
I was waiting for the amount. I'm still sitting down.
They're actually giving us a break on them. They want $50 a page. They're willing to go $10 a page.
That's not rocket science. Which one we want better? But how many pages?
15. Of course, that's just for the North Trail.
Ordering a requisition.
For all trails, so I just go ahead and make a motion to approve up to $300 to purchase maps.
Okay, David's made the motion to go ahead and purchase up to $300 worth of railroad maps. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Now we're to the Wallace Bank property cleanup. I think that's what we are.
We have at least 2 estimates, previous estimates, in the $200,000 to $300,000 range to clean that property up. When we first, these may have been last year sometime. I think Ms. Schaefer made contact or attempted to make contact. I don't know if she was successful with the vendors that had supplied that to see if those were still good.
One is now out of business. The other one said if we paid for the dump bill, he would knock his price down to $125,000. Feline Construction,
Where are they out of here?
They're here.
Custer Edition.
So did you talk to the people in Fairmont to do it?
No, Fairmont, no. I also have another person getting ready to give me a bid.
What would the dump fee be for something like that?
His original bid
They
was,
charge by the ton. And it also has to go to a special area because it's considered hot because of the asbestos in it.
Then we did across the street.
you're looking approximately at least $90 a ton cost. His original bid was that 250?
269.
So there's your difference.
I think you go back out for bid again, put it out for bid. There's a lot of people who don't have anything to do right now.
Well, first of all, we have to get ownership. We don't own the property.
Well, I did a little, I mean, for some reason, I don't know why they're not selling the property, the auditor. I mean, it's been suspended since I think 2012.
It has.
It's at the stake.
I know. But the owner still, and there's no way to contact the owner?
Oh, I've been in contact with the owner several times. He just says, it's not mine anymore.
Where would he be willing to something without having to go through the legal process? Would he sign a deed if that's what we would ever choose? I'm not even saying that's what we do, but
He probably would, yeah, just to get rid of it, yeah.
Somebody
I'm
would
not
have to
saying
pay
that's
the
what we want
taxes
to
on it.
do, but,
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, somebody would have to pay the tax bill. of
but it's
course,
not, I don't think it's that
Much.
excessive.
That'd be a good deal for
That's what I looked at, if I remember correctly what I looked at.
he said he wanted in a poker game.
Yeah.
Said, buddy, you
I'm not
lost.
gonna say what else was involved in that poker game.
We can explore that if the commission so desires.
I think we need to keep on this, figure out.
We'll explore whether he's willing to sign a deed, donate, whatever the case may be. We'll get with the tax office and see what the back taxes are with the state, what all's involved. I wouldn't think that's gonna be minimal compared to other costs.
Oh, yes. Okay, now we're down, I think, to Parks and Recreation projects.
I just put, because we had discussion about playground locations and equipment, and then if there's other long-term projects that the staff is working on there.
Doug will pass out some that we've been kicking back and forth during this COVID times. You'll see what they are. A lot of these things, of course, what we do, a lot of it is outside, but COVID has caused people to want to go outside more. So we've been looking at things that, especially for families and individuals to get back outside and do. The first one on the list is pads for disc golf. We have a 9-hole disc golf course, and the better disc golf courses have concrete pads for them to tee off from. And we're getting a lot more families wanting to do this. It's a small project that can be done within our budget, and that's with the help of maintenance, of course, on some of the work that's beyond our, there. You can see it's $2,000 to do, $2,100 to do all 9 holes of having the pads there. And we had a quote out just in case, just to see the difference. We haven't gotten official ones, but one place told us it would be $6,000 to $7,000 to be bid out. We could do it for $2,100 with the help of maintenance on that.
And we spoke to, Harrison County contractors about this, got Central Supply, and they're working on a quote for us now. And I spoke to Paul DuPont, who helped out with the concrete job, subcontractor Jason Fernandez over at Spelter, where we did the new basketball court. And he said these are highball numbers at 6,000 to 7,000, and the only difference is that he'd have to rent a piece of equipment that once the concrete company would come, you'd need a carrier to transport or track it up to those 9 different areas that we would have.
We're on hillsides.
Yeah.
With all these property. And of course, we need their assistance in figuring out concrete and stuff like that. It's a little beyond our knowledge.
And we can use these opportunities to, up at the parks in Fairmont with their competitive disc golf areas. They draw on a lot of people from out of town. They have a big competition there. There's no reason why we can't, piggyback off something like that and look into having like a night league for, for families, for men, for co-ed, however you want to do
Never
it.
ending teams, whatever,
Yeah.
you want, adults.
That's the beauty about this sport is that, I mean, you threw a Frisbee when you're a little kid, now you're just, doing it and incorporating, like a golf type of setting involved with it. And if you haven't followed, there's a company called Innova, INNOVA. If you ever go on their website, you can see just how popular this sport is.
And it's not the point that they play all over. Because there's one at Fairmont, they want to come to Harrison County. I've played at Fairmont, I've played at Stonewall Jackson. Everybody wants to go to different courts, and this will start, get ours up to the level of the others, being able to have the pads and stuff with it. We have the gas drilling people, can't believe the number of them that's come out to play the course. That's what they do, they have their backpack full of discs and come out and it gives them something to do in the evenings all night.
Or even during lunchtime too. I mean, it seems like when the weather's right, you're always seeing, minimum 4-8 people at any given time. So if we could get that and really promote that, hey, listen, here's what we've done as a community to bring this in, to make it the way to the specs of, from all the recommendations we've been getting from people in the county that, hey, we're doing this right. We're not just kind of putting some concrete in, laying some metal nets in there for you to play. I mean, we want to do this to where we wanted to, we're taking as much pride into it as much as the pride you're taking into the sport.
It's 9 holes typical.
Yes, sir. Well, they do some 18, just because of our property, that's the amount that we can allow, would be 9 for that.
And the next thing we can do is do another tee off pad at each place, and they play it, it'd be a different play, and go back around for the 18 holes. The next one on your list is, now, of course, we'll talk this all over with our board. We haven't been able to meet yet. They're meeting the first week of
Meeting
February.
on the first Tuesday of February.
So we'll go over this with them. Beach volleyball court. Main reason for that is something more out Summit Park. They have a huge picnic shelter out there. And we could promote the rental of that shelter, and volleyball's a family type activity that they could do. And they could go on top of that shelter. There'd be a basketball court, volleyball court, playground, even a ball field up there. So it could really promote that as a place to have your events there. And of course, we'll use it for possible for leagues and things too along the way. It is a popular teen and adult sport with it.
We're going to try to take all of our properties and do a reassessment of all the rentals, from the building itself to the pavilions outside to playgrounds like this. And by having something like that, it offers all the amenities that you have. I mean, if you want a big, the Thomas Family Reunion or Hinkle Family Reunion, Tree Cross Family Reunion, you can come and rent the place for a day, and you're gonna have people play basketball, have people play volleyball, maybe some softball, t-ball, whatever. So ranges from 3 years old to 99 years old. If we can, like I said, maximize that, and then maximize the rentals for every weekend, throughout the summer months, that's just additional revenue that's coming in and helping out.
Again, that's in-house doing. We'll make the maintenance department to help dig the pit for it. It's not hard. The biggest cost is the sand, because it's a special sand because people want to play barefoot. And that's the whole deal with that. Next one, we've been working on trail extensions. We have a nature trail. Well, we have a combination trail. It's a nature trail. It's we identify trees. It could be self-guided, or we use it with school groups, group tours and things. It's also a history trail, because that is the Poor Farm, old Poor Farm site. The Poor Farm cemetery is there. We've had a number of people that's studying their ancestry that's come out now and found out they've had people buried on the Poor Farm. So we want to play up the Poor Farm into things now. We've been doing a lot of research on that through the Baltimore Library and different websites along the way. We have been improving and extending it. We've got lots of help from maintenance on helping us extend it. That's something we've wanted to do since we started it and never really had the time. So COVID did allow us to have some time for that. It's also, we have a Legends Loop that has West Virginia legends from Mothman to the Flatwoods Monster, and tell the kids about those kind of legends. We've been working on Enchanted Trail, the fairy trails and stuff. It's even got fairies, trolls, gnomes. They even got some coverage on the CBS Sunday morning show on some of how big those are for the kids to come out and experiment with. We have outdoor classrooms along the trail. health issues, my doctor said you don't always walk straight around in flat areas, you need hills and things to go up and down. So we do have definitely hills for them to go up and down on this trail along the way.
You know, the path is only about a third of a mile, but, you know, we're using this effectively to the fact that we can do enrichments with it, you can do exercise with it. It taps all the citizens in the county.
Where do you get on it at? Where,
If you go to the two pavilions in the back right behind the playground area, that's where the trail starts. And you can actually see it now because all the
so
leaves
you
are
don't have
down.
to actually be in the parking lot, you can get to it from,
Yeah, you could just
when the
park.
gate's closed.
Yeah, you just walk up to it, it's
Yeah,
just right
yeah,
there.
just walk on the other side of the playground past the pavilion, and then you can hit it 3 or 4 times like you mentioned.
Because I almost stopped Sunday.
We have some steps on there. Like I said, I can't wait till the spring. I really can't until the weather breaks so we can get this part out there. It's so unique. I mean, you know, we've been challenged on, let's get some uniqueness out here. When you walk this certain path, you're gonna see a sign, you know, walking the Enchanted Trail, you're gonna see things about fairies, you're gonna see this. I mean, the kids have been working really hard on doing the creative stuff. I mean, just little things. We've gotten,
We got a lot of interesting things.
yeah, we've gotten
We got gnome
stumps.
homes, we got stumps with them ready to go. So a lot of things on that.
Some of that
And we're gonna tie
little
them into nature too. Those, all the fairies and stuff help with nature and which one's with this tree or that flower. So you go, you know, again, we do a lot of edutainment. They accidentally learn something while they're having fun. We do that with a lot of our things with that.
You know, check the talk numbers, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Mike,
okay.
to talk numbers real quick, you know, we average anywhere from 1,800 to 3,000 kids that come to our enrichment. So you gotta imagine all the family, all the kids are coming there. Our last thing when we leave is we influence to where we emphasize to the teachers as well as the kids, hey, you know, on a weekend or a weeknight or whatever, you know, get your mom and dad, come out, show them what you did. You're walking around, it's like, hey, you see this tree right here? This tree produces root beer, or you see this fairy trail right here. You know, back in the early days, people assumed that these people were the enemies of these people and stuff like that. So again, all we're trying to do is promote recreation, promote outside activities, and, you know,
You see
having little projects like
Apple tree
this.
saplings on there. We want to be able to plant some trees and it'll be adjacent to the Legends Loop in one place. So we'll talk about Johnny Appleseed, who planted the Grimes Golden Seed in Wellsburg that became the Golden Delicious. And then on the other side of it, we'll talk about the science, ag science of how you grow trees and pollination and all kinds of things on that kind of level too. So trail's one of our fun things. If this extension, we can actually have 3 different groups going on the trail at once and rotate between what we do. Gaga pits. I don't know, you'd have to see it. There's a picture, there are pictures of these along the way. That is sort of a cross between Foursquare and a safer dodgeball play. It's honestly the most requested thing we've had from the 12 and over group, especially. It's been introduced a lot at Jackson's Mill. They have a dodgeball pit, 2 of them down there now. And it's just a never ending game. You don't have to have a particular skill. Yes, you can be better than others, but you don't choose sides. Everybody plays. It's an individual situation. There's a lot of variations you can do with it. And again, you see the things, motor skills, self-perceptions, there's all the things that normally go with sports. We'll go with this Gaga pit. It's not a team sport. It's more of that. We could put 4 of them in for $3,500, again, with our nice maintenance group, helping on some of the deals with it.
And that would be one at each park that we have, from Wallace, Spelter, our park, as well as at Summit Park. So, and again, what you're having, and what we're seeing out there is that families are bringing their young kids out there, you're getting on the playgrounds and doing all the stuff there, and like you see, yes, sir.
That's what you're talking about.
Absolutely. I mean, the advantage it has with the motor skills, increasing, you know, keeping competition along those lines and keeping it in a fun atmosphere. But that 12-year-old, you know, peer group that we're not really catching there because of some of our equipment might be a little bit, you know, beyond or not, you know, less than what their age and what their development is. I mean, they can get in there. and
That's
get some
also
buddies.
our hardest age group to hit. When they hit that junior high, they start thinking they're big shots or whatever, and they're not little kids anymore. So if we find something that's interesting, it's nice to be able to draw them into things.
I'm assuming there's a gate for access.
Yes.
For those that have trouble helping. Yeah, there's not necessarily a gate, but there's one spot that's actually cut down a little bit, so all kids can get us. Or get the dad and mom.
My question is it ADA accessible?
Uh,
Yes,
have
we
to
can-
go
we-
over the wall.
yes.
Yes,
we
we
can
can,
fix it
we
to
can be
a
opened up
gate.
and remove that section.
Okay.
What else we got on there? You wanna do the long, start with the fund, power for long range?
Yeah, a couple months,
Go ahead, I'd say, we use our, whatever imagination or whatever, come up with, now this is not covered within our budget or making something, but just food for thought.
yeah, if you go to the page before you get all the, or 2 pages before you get to all the pictures, I kind of been thinking about, what can we do to bring economic dollars to our county? And, one thing is I've been thinking of, I've kind of looked upon is, when I lived in Pittsburgh, we had a couple places like the North Park Center, and they had anywhere from playground equipment, recreation stuff. They had a dome where you can go and do activities in there. And it's one that you can it's air bubble, it could be erected, it could be taken down during the summer and then blown up again. I think you might see one of the pictures there towards the end of what one looks like at Wildwood Park. But I thought if we could put together this Harrison County Family Fun Park. And what you were looking at is a sports facility that's going to be for all things. If you want batting cages, we'll have that. An outdoor driving range, a miniature golf course, a playground, a dog park, a walking trail, picnic areas. The vision is having a pole building there that's going to have outlets for like a commercial restaurant or for concessions, an indoor facility for driving range or for golf simulators, as well as batting cages, sitting area, restrooms. And then attached to that would have this dome. There's a company called Arizona. If you look on there, it says that there's an 80,000 square foot air dome. I want to scale it back down to about 30,000 square feet. It's going to be better for the cost. And what you can do in there, you can have it open up during the winter months for, a driving range for a couple days a week. You can have it on the weekends for youth and senior sports, whether it be soccer or t-ball or anything along those lines, or lacrosse. We can bring in vendor shows that could go in there and set up. And again, all this is doing is bringing in income. I mean, being a golfer, besides, where I play at, I can't think of a place to go put a quarter in a slot or put $1 in a slot and get, 30 range balls and go work on my game. You don't have it. You have one up at Whitehall, up in Fairmont. Morgantown, you don't have one. Taylor County, I don't know of any. Unless you're a member of a club or, or a public place where you can get access like it. I don't know where you could get it. And, based on history of where I've been, like I said, working in Pittsburgh and seeing how these domes or how these bubbles work. The economic income that can be brought in there, I use as an example on the back page in green, that if you compare the 300,000 visitors annually at a facility like this, now granted, I know it's 1.2 million for Allegheny County. I know we're only at 63,000, but I kind of took out that, I kind of dwindled those numbers, made the percentages even out. And it looks like, we can make anywhere from, $300,000-$400,000 to almost $1.2 million a year in revenue off of this. You're going to bring jobs in, all these jobs all these prices that for, the miniature golf course, $250,000 turnkey, outdoor batting cages, $75,000 turnkey. The Arizona building, we're looking at, that's going to be the biggest hit. It's going to be almost $1 million. But again, turnkey from construction to turfing, leveling, getting it up, and the pole building, could be anywhere, from 150 just for the structure itself, and then probably add another 80 to 100 just to to set it up to where it's used for those 3 or 4 different things of the building itself.
Mostly a year-round facility. You talk about employment opportunities from full-time to seasonal.
Yeah, we'd have to hire a general manager, an event coordinator, an office manager, maintenance supervisor, a mechanic, 20 to 30 seasonal staff employees. You're bringing in, like I said, you're going to get some jobs into the county, hopefully generate some revenue that's going to, again, give us that economic impact that we're so desperately needing right now, just based on
Hey, Doug,
what we thought.
I am super committed to a barn for livestock. Can you incorporate that in for the Farm Bureau so that we could?
Yeah,
show-
we have that, old proposal attached to the back of this, where,
Okay, I love it.
show
If the
ring.
property is, if we can find the property is big enough, I mean, I kind of thought maybe get with Jack Healy and Jim Lyons on the property on 98. I mean, the big key is finding something close to the highway. If you're coming up from Lewis County or from Buchanan, you get off of the Clydesdale exit, you drive 3 miles, you're there. If you're coming in from Morgantown, you get 79 to 50, and then you take the Joy Street exit, again, a couple miles, you're there. So, I mean, that would be an ideal spot. As far as the acreage is concerned, I really don't know what the numbers are with it. I really don't know what Mr. Keeley or Mr. Lyons would want to do with it. I have contacted Mr. Lyons. Unfortunately, he had an accident and he's bedridden right now. But I did talk to his daughter, and she said that we would definitely try to get together. I've not contacted Mr. Keeley about
That's
that.
all the land we own, we can't find something.
Well,
I say
that's where I got the area. Yeah.
Property is a big question, if there's anything county owned.
I mean, off of 279, all that
You
acreage.
know, of course, with your show ring and stuff like that, your all mention of my 30-some years has been fairgrounds. That kind of stuff goes perfect with fairgrounds. The 4-H, Future Farmers, Farm Bureau, everybody's still interested in doing some kind of a livestock show ring in this area. The prices on this one that we have are the old prices. The plans are on there, what they had, and it was what, 150,000 2 years ago, wasn't it?
David, how much flat land is there out on 279?
None,
None?
there's no flat land. One way you get flat land is we make it.
Again, I mean,
We
I
have a
just.
ballpark at Summit Park, that lower field that sits down there and does absolutely.
That was mentioned as a possible site, yeah.
Now, remember, the reason that Summit Park's not a good location, because it's a one-lane road to nowhere where you can't buy a cup of coffee or a gallon of gas. So that's out for me. I want accessibility. I mean, Route 50 and 79 makes 279 really a nice piece of property. I mean, we paid thousands and thousands and millions of dollars for that property. Let's do something with it.
Everything, see, what they're doing at the bridge, off the Saltwell. I mean, that's just totally basketball, swimming,
So
baseball.
right together.
This is complete.
We
We're going
wanted to
the
go
other
a different
end.
direction.
We
Yeah.
want kids to come out and do the playground. We want the families to come out and do the putt, but even if you do, if there's 20,000 people, I mean, if it averages between 15 for an individual or $80 for a family, I mean, there's so much revenue to be generated off of that. You're going to get all those people from surrounding counties. So, that's just, again, the biggest part, the thing for us right now is find a piece of land. Then from there, and like you said, would be flat enough, whatever, then we can put the playground that's going to cost $150,000. We can put in the miniature golf courses. And I don't want the one at Number 4 Park. I want something like if you're driving down Myrtle Beach on Route 19 or 7 Kings Highway, and you look to the left, say, oh, wow, look at the big pirate ship. Oh, hey, look at the volcano. Hey, look at the airplane in the mountain. I want something to look like that. That's going to keep them coming. I don't want Coal Mountain. I don't want the VA. I don't want Number 4 Park.
You think we can do all this for $1.2 million?
No, that's not. I mean, if you look on the last page, the total over estimate, I think it's going to be about
$100,000?
6 million. 6 million. Now, again, the whole key is this though. If this is something that interests you guys, let me get with a sport management group, advisory group, and try to get, then I can start getting, I'm just giving the surface here. Let me get with Harbaugh, with miniature golf, and say, hey, I need a turnkey amount. I already know the numbers for the batting cages. Jack already worked that out for me. Everything's gonna be automated. You just pop in a quarter or swipe a credit card or whatever the case is, and you're gonna get your range balls, you're gonna get your 15 baseballs coming at you. And, with miniature golf, you probably need someone there for that. You're gonna need someone to oversee it. If you want to rent it out to people for the weekends, for the indoor part during the winter, whether it be for soccer or whatever. I mean, like I said, I can put together a plan together for you and have it for you, by March, at least something that's gonna say, here's exactly what the turnkey price is gonna be.
Doug, I'm all for anything that can generate revenue. Can you let us know how much revenue it'll bring in?
Like I said, I can get the financial, the forecasting for that.
We need to make a motion so that he has the resources to do that, Willie?
If it's a general consensus of the commission, we can proceed as well as revenue. you need to estimate the cost, so we're looking
Right.
at net. Yeah, if you generate 300,000, but you end up spending 600,000 to generate 3.
So I
They're
understand.
not making it.
So I understand. And this money that's just gonna be,
And have different scenarios, not,
yeah.
think of everything. and
I
then
want the
break it
big
down.
package and I say, okay, let's take away this
No, you're
part,
not
let's
gonna
take
do
away that part and see what we got. The only thing that I'm really pushing for is to have this dome because it can be, you can have money coming in all year round.
That we may buy a flat piece of property off of Gene Ford. I mean, there's going to be utilities and access into that. I mean, this is an incredible opportunity off of 279 right now because it is becoming very flat.
Right.
I mean, it's like David said, nothing's flat right now, but one thing history's taught us, we can make anything flat we want to.
I mean, I would love for this thing to all come to, to fruition here and knowing that, hey, man, my thumbprint is on this thing that is done so well for the county or, that everybody at the county has worked so hard to get this here and look what it's doing, look what it's generating for the county itself.
So this is just the beginning stages of looking this
I mean,
information
it
up.
started with, you're in the shower and something pops in your head. What can I do? What
How
can I
many
do?
acres do you think we need?
I mean, what?
How many flat acres do you think we need?
Well, I mean, the bubble itself is, 30,000 square feet.
Can
And,
we get away with 10 acres,
now we probably need a little bit more,
12, 15, what?
maybe
You
15.
need to let us know so we can start talking to people.
And like I said, we get the dog park, you get the walking trail. I mean, I'm sure there's grant opportunities out there, the sports recreation, that for, in our public sector, that might be able to, whether it be 5,000 or 100,000 or whatever, maybe on the match. I mean, so what if we're all in for it and we're getting that extra money on top of that, just taking a little bit off of what the overall expense is.
Well, get us a revenue,
Definitely,
see what that would be.
definitely.
Well, that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to see, is there interest to go on with the
Oh, I love it,
research?
I love it.
So that's our long-term plan right now. I mean, I'm assuming, based on kind of what the bridge has done and where they're at and their, 24-month, 30-month project. I mean, I'm sure it would be, obviously with the seasons, you just don't know what the winter does to it, but it's something that starts in the spring. And, we might have this done in 12, 13 months. As long as we get all our pieces of the puzzle together. So, because you're looking at 5 or 6 different types of contractors to come in and do the work. And like I said, I've worked up pretty much I've gotten some of the details. I've got like gross, or I got an estimated cost of what it would be for construction of it. And like I said, I can have each one detailed for you. I just wanted to see if this is something you guys be interested in before I did everything and showed it to you and you're like, that's something that,
Well, find the money.
yes, yeah. I think
That's the ultimate.
there's some coffee cans
I just
somewhere
wanna
buried
add something
somewhere.
Something else we would do.
Yeah,
But, and the other thing too is that if it's something where we have to go on a loan with this, I mean, there's no reason with our levy dollars is there a way we could earmark 50,000 a year that goes towards a payment towards it? I mean, I don't know how the building was taken care of, but it was paid off at where we're at. Our building was paid off in 12 years as compared to I don't know if it was a 24-year loan or whatever it was. It's before my time, but anyway, I just feel it would work. And hopefully, not just because of what I do and like what I do, but this is something that if you're a 3-year-old, go play on the playground. Dad's going to go get some range balls. Mom's going to go, feed the kids a little lunch at the concession place. We can get the rent off the concessions. I mean, it's,
We won't leave the 3-year-old by himself.
no. Unless he's in the Gaga pit, and he's okay. But that's kind of our little thing. So
Good job.
I will pursue and keep you guys informed as well as Mr. Parker and myself.
Be great.
Thank you.
On some little projects, work with maintenance to see if we can start moving forward, since we can pay for that within our own budget.
Yes, Mr. Parker, I'd like to know what they have with their budget between now and the end of the year.
My plan is to do a budget revision and information for our meeting on the 21st.
And of course, we're working on our, any other plans, summer playground programs, things like that, to know the cost of those within the budget.
I'd like to know that information now, please.
I can do a printout, but we have a month's worth of bills that haven't been processed. I don't know how accurate it would be at this point.
And see how that fits in with $1.4 million that we tied up.
What's that?
You know, tie that in with the $1.4 million that's tied up now and see how that fits into our budget, if we have to allocate any more to them. You know, in case they're over budget right now.
I mean, we should be well over budget right
We,
now.
COVID has kept, we didn't have the summer playground program, and then we haven't been able to do a few.
That's-
things we normally do.
That's probably
You know,
300,000
plus or
right there.
minus
alone.
10,000, 50,000, if you give me a number today.
I can do yeah, they have money for these small projects.
All right, then. I
There's
make
no
a
question
motion
about that.
For the pads, for the golf, for the disc, if they spend in-house, not to exceed 10,000, put in 18 holes for twice the pads. To make it an 18-hole golf course, and do all the work in-house.
Thank you.
Haven't got proof yet.
Yeah, but at the same time,
Thank
what
you
we
for
can
your
do
motion.
in-house, go ahead and approve to do that too. Do as much in-house as possible, and then what you have to contract out, just do it.
Nothing
Yeah, I
should
mean-
be, have to be contract out, Patsy, we can do it all
We
in-house.
can do it all.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, like I say, I mean, Greg's guys have been awesome out there, Stacy, and thank you for, you know, kind of giving them a little bit of the freedom to, when they're not too busy to come over and help us. I mean, Stacy and
Give me you.
Tim has been, when they built the new fence to close in everything in the back, we took all that recycled lumber and we built our fence for the Johnny Appleseed section, just off of recycled wood, and then Tim helped us dig, and Stacy dug some holes for us, and then we just did it all in-house on our own, building these fences to keep the deer out for once we get our saplings in there and get our information pieces up.
Yeah, we
there.
actually enjoy working on the trail and stuff a little bit,
Yeah.
hands-on.
Well, motion's on the floor to spend $10,000 to expand your golf to 18 holes, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Nature
Now you
trail,
got it.
nature trail and
Thank you.
extension improvements. I can make a motion for them to begin work on that, not to exceed $5,000.
Motion's been made not to exceed $5,000 on the nature trail extension improvements.
Will that be enough money, guys? Mike?
Oh, yeah, it'll go a long way toward what we're doing. Yep.
Okay.
Twice what they asked for.
Yep, that's what we asked for. And it will do it.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Beach volleyball court. Can you put one out at your present location?
We could put one on. Probably council circle. We can do anything you want. We've got that excavator, that's a short order.
Well, let me ask you, because we did that fill in over by the fire circle,
Mhm.
so that's about accomplished.
Yeah, we'll find a place for it.
Yeah, but we'll collab, we'll get with Greg.
We'll get
and,
Reagan, yeah, there's a couple different options.
Okay.
I like it out there too, I just thought, like I
And
said,
what
it's
about
something,
down at Spelter?
I think we,
Is there space?
we'd have to see if there's space between is there a deputy in there now? Robert?
Yeah, what's
Well,
that?
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
My understanding is that house is in foreclosure. There's no deputy that lives there. And, you know, when you're thinking about that, that may not be a bad idea for the county to acquire that. I've talked to Tim just unofficially in passing about maybe trying to make that a little community center. Because I know that Tim and Hazel do a lot with the kids there in Spelter. And I don't know if we could find out who the lender was on that, and it's already on the foundation.
So in that area, we probably would be able to.
Yeah, we have to see what the space is between that door to where the trailer goes in to where the basketball court is, because there's some bocce courts that are down there too that probably need a little bit of revamping.
Tender loving care.
Yeah, and then, you know, Tim was actually, when we brought up Gaga Court, I mean, we were here just having a conversation, he just overheard, he's like, oh my gosh, he said, that's everything our kids do with the church youth group, he said, they just love having something like that.
Or, you know, if it would be better suited for you guys to remove the thing out of there. Like I said, we have no attachment to that anymore.
And there's really nothing played on that baseball field anymore. I mean, it's spread over, the sand is, I mean, I mean, that's a heck of a piece of property right there.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
fine.
it's very nice, and there's some times where, you know, we've had some leaks come in there, and unfortunately, some of the people that have come to use it in the past have not been, I don't want to say not taken care of or anything, they're just kind of they kind of fell under the, well, you know, we've always done this, so we're going to continue doing it, and it's like, you guys need to be insured to make this happen, because we only have so much protection on there. We need insurance on these leagues as well. I mean, make us a named insurer on the Shinson Little League so we can be a part of it. Or if they do football or football practice or whatever the case is, we want them to use it. We just want to make sure that everybody's covered in a situation of an accident that could be, you know, that could be detrimental. So.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to build a volleyball court out at Parks and Rec's main office. And $7,000 budget, not to exceed.
Okay, motion for $7,000 for a beach volleyball court at Parks and Rec. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed?
The Gaga courts. You guys really think you can put these all together for what you're saying?
Yeah, all those prices are actually from, some's from Marsh's, some's from Sandy's. There's a company called Gopher Recreation.
Supply the brackets. to
That's-
put all this
That's what
together.
they do, yes, sir.
That's the brackets.
And how many did you want?
That was 4 of them there.
That would just be one for every part, just to show that, hey, you know,
Only need 3, as I understand it.
Spelter, Wallace, Summit Park, and our place.
Okay. Motion to Gaga courts, all 4 parks, not to exceed $4,000.
Motion for Gaga courts at all parks for $4,000. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay. Have fun, guys.
Thank you. Nice
The only
project.
thing I have left is the commission want to put a beach volleyball court at Summit Park. So yeah, or nay.
Do you feel that there is a need in some part for it?
I think we would get more value out of our place. If we had one to pick, we'd get more value out of our place. Nothing against Summit Park or anything like that, but when you're able to drive by off 19, you can see, oh, wow, they got beach volleyball there. Let's get the game there and go play. Now,
Start with one
you
and
go to
go from
Summit
there.
Park and be up on top.
I just want to make sure that we're providing.
Because I think we can put on places visual from the highway.
Summit Park's gonna be more of a sports complex of getting the leagues from baseball, soccer to softball. Definitely.
And then if that would be a need in the future, we could always look at it.
Yeah.
Are we going? I'd like for this commission to make a decision on Summit Park because it's either needs to go away or we're gonna have to spend some money on it. The upper field is nothing but a absolute lawsuit waiting to happen.
Yeah, it's
With
the
the
baseball field,
wiring, the fencing, somebody's gonna get hurt.
training
Either
issues.
needs tore all the way down and left empty.
Yeah.
The lower field isn't in much better shape. The fence is in bad shape. The kitchen area and all that's getting to the point of being,
Yeah, just haven't been used.
hasn't been used, almost ready to tear down some of the other buildings. So we're gotta make a decision whether we want to invest in that park or get it to where it's not a liability to us because people are breaking in, staying in the buildings, the bathrooms are constantly being broken into and staying in.
If we didn't have that to manage, David, then maybe the $6 million project then is even more feasible. You know, to go ahead and find, you know, now we can start looking for.
The $6 million project, I'm trying to understand the baseball part of it. When we have did another 4, we invested in that building for baseball. Like I read in the news last night, Bridgeport put in batting cages.
The thing with the batting cages, I mean, I'm just thinking of it as a revenue standpoint, if you wanted, say you bring a grandchild or, whoever with you want to go, work on it, they can go and go in that isolated, one of those six lanes and have either slow pitch thrown to them or high school level, have 2 for each. I mean, you're just dropping the token in and it's just going, if you want to hit for an hour, you want to hit for 10 minutes, you don't have to, or you just want to do it for fun.
I think my suggestion would be that you talk to the city of Bridgeport and find out whether they think they're making money with the bridge.
Now, we know they're not gonna make money with the bridge deck, but we also wanted like a revenue source to help out.
They, they're
So
not relying on their revenue
Right.
source to build it.
we'll have to rely on our tax dollars too.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But we have it.
We were hunting for something for everybody. Maybe that's not always the choice. We'll have to pare down, see what's more feasible, what is the revenue producers. So we will check out those things.
I think roughly you're looking between $500,000 to $750,000 a year in expenses on this, to finance it and to operate it. So you're probably looking close to $340,000 a year.
Yeah, but what can we get, 15 flat acres off of Jamie Horton for? Can we get that for 10 million?
400 would be just about 10 million.
10 million? So the total project then would be 16?
Yep, and then you're gonna need over $1 million a year in revenue. Probably $1 million too.
If they generated $250,000 out there, then we'd only have to ante up 750,000 a year. Okay.
Anything else from them?
No. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you.
Oh. The only other thing I got to say about all the motions I made, I didn't add it to them. May. These will all be up and running.
If I may?
Yeah.
Should be no problem.
Okay.
We can invite you to join the Lego, 30-day Lego challenge right now.
Okay.
We've been thinking of odd ways to.
I just would like for everybody to be able to start using them in the spring.
That was our goal, when hopefully this COVID's gonna let people out and about, so that's what we want
Well,
to do.
this is outdoor stuff, so
Yep.
it's the only one that scares me is the one where we're locking all the little kids up in a cage. But, I think the frisbee golf is, I know it's a big thing, and I'm all for that. I see it everywhere. I know lots of people play it, so I think that's a great thing. And to make it an 18 hole and start pushing it for tournaments, I think is a good thing for you all to do out there.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
I think the last thing is commissioner comments. I have nothing.
I just was gonna tell Willie that they had a problem down there with the parking lot at Olympic Park this morning. That had it blocked off, and you may want to reach out to the owners of the Alton building. Matter of fact, I think they're gonna contact you, so you're ready. And then the other thing is if on Friday's meeting, if Thrasher could be here as well, since we've retained their services to some level, when we talk about one, maybe they could help us understand, what we're, what they're explaining to us from a construction standpoint. But I'm all good.
No, the only thing I guess I would mention it to Mr. Parker, I'll mention to everybody, with the building being the way it is and the streets being tight, I would like Mr. Parker to get with the commission's blessing with Frontier to talk about leasing their parking lot for use for the police department and the deputies department park out there, so we can kind of open up the streets and make traffic easier. And see if we can't lease space off of them for at least our vehicles and some other people to actually use that to park in and make life easier around the courthouse.
You know, if that's the case, David, I don't want to work on ourselves. Why don't we just release that whole parking lot right behind the sheriff's department? You know, the paid parking, Robert? Sheriff, and get a ballpark idea what it'd be to release that whole parking lot for 2 years. And then it'd only be the county commission's building.
You're saying behind the
Right behind the
Washington
jail.
Avenue?
There's the 2 parking lots that's paid. Just go ahead and lease them both for 2 years in full for only our employees.
Frontier might offer for nothing.
I don't know.
Go ahead and see what it's gonna cost for the members. And because it's closer, and we don't even walk and do all that, you know, we don't want
Yeah,
to.
he's talking about Frontier. What about Frontier?
Yeah, it's right up on the hill.
Right,
Yeah.
that's,
My only question with that, Mr. Tree, cause is like people coming in to do business at the courthouse, we kind of be pushing them out
Pushing them.
away, but I do.
Well,
whatever
there's
you
two
think's
of, there's
best.
2 sides of it, just
Yeah,
do
maybe
one of them.
one side, either or, I think it's worth exploring them, to
check
get the
them
cars
both
off
and see
the
what we
street.
get. Do that tomorrow.
Frontier might not say,
Right.
it's just sitting up there empty every day. I see one car sitting in it, that's
I
it.
can tell you who's going to.
Yeah.
I mean, it just sits up there empty,
Not
so
mine, but I know you do.
It's actually Verizon.
Right.
so it just seems kind of foolish not to see if we can't get, especially the way it's so tight through there, and we took away those spots where the officers were parking, to try to find someplace.
And you know the one, the Y there, the women's building, they're gone. If we could throw them any extra money, they'd love it. For their parking lot. And try to get them all.
Well, okay, I thought that was part of the Chase property.
The one on the right is. Yeah.
I'll get with Mr. Parker if that's all right, and we'll figure something out.
Anything else?
Nope.
Anybody got the magic motion?
Motion to dismiss.
We're done.
And down there.